right. I mean, just so unbelievably sad. And unfortunately, we're here at what's supposed to be a joyous event. So many people have worked so hard on their music and to get their music out and to get nominated for a Grammy, which is, music's biggest night. But it's difficult. It's difficult to celebrate because, as you mentioned, Pat, I mean, Kobe had that effect on not only people in the sports world, but people all over, including myself, who was a fan from the moment he started at the Lakers. I mean, and as I mentioned earlier, as a mother, I mean, your heart just naturally goes out to Vanessa and really everyone here walking. Like I said, it's supposed to be a joyous night, but it is definitely turned into a somber evening. I'm also being told that the Grammys are going to perhaps pay some type of tribute tonight to Kobe Bryant. Naturally, of course, we would expect that. For now, we're going to continue getting reaction. For now, we're live at the Staples Center. I'm Brittany Hopper. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Brittany, I know that Nipsey Hussle is going to be...
Few minutes.
All right, we're going to go to a National Transportation Safety Board news conference.
We're likely to have a media briefing sometime tomorrow. Please monitor our Twitter, which is NTSB_newsroom, for those announcements. I have time for a couple of quick questions. If you'll raise your hand, state your name and your affiliation. The question is, what types of things will we be looking for? Our team will be looking at the history of the pilot and whatever crew was on board. We'll be looking at maintenance records of the helicopter. We will be looking at records of the owner and operator of the helicopter and a number of other things that we look at as part of the investigation.
Greg Claire with CNN. How soon do you anticipate getting to work tonight once you land in California?
That's hard to tell. The question is how late will we be getting to work? We do have somebody who's on scene or en route from our Western Region office, and so when we get on scene, we'll have to assess what we're able to do at that time.
Fan Affidavit, Fox 5. Media on the ground is reporting 9 people were killed in that crash. Does the Sikorsky typically carry 9 people? Is it a helicopter that can be capable of carrying that many people?
The question is how many people can be carried in the Sikorsky 76B. We are trying to figure out what the configuration of that helicopter is. It really just depends on the configuration. So that's something we're still trying to verify. One more question.
Matthew Van ABC, you mentioned 18 investigators. Is it typical for the NTSB to send that large number of staff to this kind of investigation to the profile of the person on board on them?
Is it typical to send 18? And I should clarify, it's not a total of 18 investigators. That includes our investigative staff. There's the investigative staff, there's the board members, there are a couple from media relations, there's our family assistance team, and I think that covers it. But it's typical for any of our investigations. This does not change anything. This is just how we would respond to any investigation. Does
this type of helicopter typically have a black box?
Does this type of helicopter have a black box? That's something we'll have to look to as part of the investigation. We're still on our way there. So thank you very much.
That wraps up the NTSB quick press conference here related to that helicopter crash involving Kobe Bryant. The person there had said that they're in the process of verifying the seating aboard that Sikorsky S-76. Reports are there's up to 12 people that can be seated inside this helicopter. We understand there were 9 people on board at that point in time. They have 18 people, Pat, as part of the NTSB investigation. They say this is no more or any less than what they have on a normal investigation of a fatal crash like this. But they will be investigating and heading to that scene. Now, we know that Sheriff Alex Villanueva said those 9 people on board and the bodies remain at the scene in Calabasas, but he would not confirm those identities on board. However, we've confirmed, through CBS
John
News.
Altobello.
Yeah.
And we do have someone else. We want to, and I don't want to give that name until we start our newscast, which we are about to momentarily. We do have the name of another person who was born, who was aboard that helicopter crash, but also picking up on what you said from that news conference from the NTSB. They're going to look at the pilot, of course, the weather conditions, the owner of the chopper, and which would also be normal in terms of them conducting an investigation, but to try to get some answers, if we can, as to why that helicopter went down. And we will have more news coming up in just a second. A full newscast for you here on KCAL 9, where we have more information about who was on board the chopper that went down. And we, of course, will also be giving more information, condolences coming in from people that you all know, our viewers know, and people really around the world. Absolutely.
We continue continuous coverage here on KCAL 9. We'll go throughout the evening here as we continue to follow the story of this helicopter crash in Calabasas that happened earlier today involving Kobe Bryant.
Breaking news, Lakers legend Kobe Bryant killed in a tragic helicopter crash in Calabasas, including Kobe's 13-year-old daughter. The stunning news leaves fans around the world in complete shock.
Just devastating, beyond devastated. Kobe's the best, man.
I just didn't want to believe it because he's such a good guy.
Everyone from fans to celebrities to those who knew him best left devastated by the heartbreaking news.
This has been one of the most horrible days of my life. I felt like I've lost a son.
L.A. has certainly lost a legend. The world joins the city in mourning the sudden death of Kobe Bryant.
Here's what we know at this hour about the tragedy that is hitting almost everyone very hard today. 9 people on board that aircraft when something went wrong. This was over the city of Calabasas. We're told that they were on their way to a travel basketball game when that chopper went down.
In addition to Kobe and his daughter Gianna, Orange Coast College baseball coach John Altobello has been identified as among the victims. The NTSB is on the scene investigating how the helicopter went down.
And here on KCAL 9, join us live is CBS 2 Sports Director Jim Hill.
And Jim, you knew Kobe very well for the 20 years that he's been here in Los Angeles.
Kobe, Pat, and Jeff, you know, one of the more remarkable individuals that I have ever met. And he had a great work ethic, and it wasn't even, no one could surpass it. And even Magic Johnson a little while ago was talking to us about how he affected him. A tragic day as Kobe Bryant has died in a helicopter crash. Now, we've spoken with Laker legends Jerry West and Magic Johnson on the loss of one Kobe Bean Bryant.
I don't think right now that we can probably put it into words on what he's meant for Los Angeles. It's just, I'm going to miss him because we used to talk about Italy and being a father and husband and, you know, things that were just special to the two of us. And I'm going to miss those conversations I had with him and miss him and the impact that he made in our city.
I really felt like a surrogate father to him. And then as his career blossomed and, he started to establish this enormous reputation as a player and also filled with accomplishments. But his charisma on top of it was something that most great players don't have, and he had it. But to wake up to this news, this has been one of the most horrible days of my life. I felt like I've lost a son, and frankly, not doing very well.
And one of the things I think about when I think about Jerry West, I think about someone who cares. I think if it hadn't been for Jerry West, you know, Kobe probably wouldn't have come to be here with the Lakers. And of course, there's a lot more to talk about Kobe Bryant and what he has done for the basketball, for our community, for his family. He was a terrific basketball player.
We know that.
But he was a better father, husband, and family man than he was a basketball player.
I'm going to say this, Jim. Can you imagine the playgrounds around Los Angeles? We have heard from people that have given their reactions in terms of celebrities and stars, a lot of people that we know, a lot that are in the the media, the athletic world, but I just can't imagine the young children that are that play basketball around this city that just looked up to Kobe Bryant. Maybe some who have never met him before, may not have had the opportunity to go to the Staples Center to see a game, but they do know Kobe Bryant, or they did, and they just admired him so greatly. That's really touching me right now, because I know that's true.
He's one of a kind, and we shall never forget. And I mentioned it before, and I hope people aren't getting bored with it, but when I think about him, I think about a saying from Dr. King when he said, giving back to your fellow mankind is one of the most noble things that anyone can do. And that's what Kobe did.
Yes.
He was giving back to his fellow mankind, especially the young people, showing them the way.
It's nothing like just looking up to someone like that as a child, in whatever your circumstances is. But primarily to me, I'm thinking about those who didn't have the opportunity, or maybe a little less fortunate as others, to attend a professional basketball game, but still loved and admired him nonetheless, and wanted to be like Kobe Bryant.
When you say loved and admired, let's underscore that with a live look here from Sky 9. This is going to be over the Staples Center, just the throngs of people that have arrived as a result of Kobe Bryant. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about how you feel when you see this. You know him better than anybody here. You've talked to him. You know his spirit. You know his legacy. What does this tell you?
He's loved. That's pure and simple. You don't do this. You don't have this kind of reaction for people that you don't like, or people that you despise. You do this for people that you respect, you admire, you appreciate, you love, and now you just want to say thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, thank you. All right. Thank you, Jim. We'll be hearing more from Jim, of course, throughout the newscast. Now, reaction also from Lakers legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's right. He posted this on Twitter. Let's take a look.
It's very difficult for me to put in words how I feel about the loss of Kobe Bryant. As a young boy, I met him when he was 11 or 12 years old. I was friends with his dad, Joe. We were former adversaries. Joe played for the 76ers, but he was a good friend and someone that I shared a friendship. And it's hard for me to understand now how this is affecting Joe and his wife. So to Kobe's family, I want to send my most sincere and heartfelt regrets and prayers, and my thoughts are with you guys. Kobe was an incredible family man. He loved his wife and daughters. He was an incredible athlete and a leader in a lot of ways. He inspired a whole generation of young athletes. He was one of the first ones to leave high school and come into the NBA and do so well, dominating the game and becoming one of the best scorers that the Los Angeles Lakers has ever seen. I had the privilege of being there when he scored his 81-point game, and it was something that I will always remember as one of the highlights of the things that I have learned and observed in sports. Kobe, my thoughts are with you. Absolutely. Rest in peace, young man. This loss it's just hard to comprehend. Go with God.
That's the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Told you at the beginning of this newscast that we were able to identify another person who was on board that helicopter crash. The husband of Christina Mauser, you're looking at her picture now, is posting on Facebook that she died in that helicopter crash. Mauser was a basketball coach at Harbor Day School, where Kobe's daughter attended school. Mauser's husband says he and his children are devastated. Hearts go out to them as well.
Absolutely. 9 people on board. That goes to Kobe Bryant, Gianna, John Altobelli, and now Christina Mauser are the ones that are identified. 4 out of the 9. We understand the pilot as well. Nobody survived that plane crash that happened in Calabasas. And speaking of Calabasas, that happened at 9:45 this morning. Greg Mills continues our live team coverage from the crash site with the very latest.
Greg.
And Jeff and Pat, I am here at Willow Glen Street and Las Virgenes, and about 100 people here now, maybe a little bit more. And the crowd, we've noticed, has turned over a few times. So I can say safely, hundreds have been out here today, many wearing Kobe Bryant jerseys and other Laker memorabilia. Very solemn scene out here. Very, very quiet. People talking quietly among themselves and just frankly just staring up at the hill. We got video for you of the hill where the crash was, and you'll see very little left of the helicopter in a debris field that people estimate at about 200 feet at least. Very big debris field on this hill here at Willow Glen Street and Las Virgenes up in the hills there. Got a chance to talk to some of the folks who came out, and people have been coming here since just after hearing that about the crash and that Kobe Bryant was involved.
Kobe's the best, man. My wife and I, we just got married on 8/24 for Kobe.
It's hard. It makes you just want to hug your daughters.
I feel like really sad that he died, and I wish that he would still be alive.
My heart goes out for his family. My son's name is Bryant, and he was lucky enough to grow up to see him play. It's just a tragedy.
Tragic day for LA and for the whole world.
It's just incredible. I mean, I'm in shock. Kobe was a GOAT. He was the God.
He was GOAT, greatest of all time. One of them.
Incredible athlete and an incredible person, and just devastating.
It's just shocking. It's just so sad, tragic. We lost a legend. He means so much to so many kids, so many people who are basketball fans and non-basketball fans. He's accomplished great things, and it's unbelievable. Just so sad.
I love him as his player, his work ethic, but he has a family, and their grief is going to be way worse than ours.
A lot of tears out here today, really having a tough time. People just really in disbelief still, trying to grasp what happened on this hillside here in Calabasas. A couple of people we talked to that were out and about at that time said it was very, very foggy here. One man said it was foggy. He was out walking his dog, and suddenly he just heard a massive explosion. Reporting live from Calabasas, Greg Mills, CBS 2 News. Pat and Jeff, back to you.
Okay, Greg, thank you so much. We have another victim identified, Orange County Community College baseball coach John Altobelli. We're told among the victims there in that helicopter crash, Altobelli was entering his 24th season as head baseball coach. We're told in 2019, Altobelli was selected as the American Baseball Coaches Association's National Coach of the Year following a season in which he led the Pirates to a state championship. Altobelli's brother confirmed for us that John's wife and daughter also on board that helicopter and killed in that crash.
Okay, we talked earlier in the news conference from Sheriff Alex Villanueva. He gave a total of 9 people on board the helicopter crash. I think right now we have identified 6 people.
6 out of the 9.
So we still have 3 other victims that have yet to be identified, and we will give you that information as soon as we can. In fact, we're going to go to Kara Finstrom now. She has more information from that sheriff's news conference. Kara.
Pat, there's also a sense of shock, deep sadness here amongst the first responders and the local leaders who are bringing us what news they have. At this point, we understand that inside the sheriff's station here, there are some area NTSB investigators meeting with coroner's officials. We do expect to get another update at some point, but within the last hour, as you mentioned, Sheriff Alex Villanueva spoke, confirming a total of 9 people were killed.
There were no survivors. We have a manifest that indicates that there was 9 people on board the aircraft, the pilot plus 8 individuals. There is wide speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin.
The fire department says they got a 911 call reporting a helicopter down a brush fire at 9:47 this morning. They say firefighters with medical equipment hiked in. Some others were dropped from a helicopter to try and get to anyone on board as quickly as they could. But sadly, again, all 9 people on board died. Fire Chief Daryl Osby also spoke here. He referred to one of the specific challenges fire crews had to face as they tried to put out the flames.
Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines to extinguish the stubborn fire, as it included the brush fire, debris from a helicopter, and the fire also included magnesium, which is very hard for our firefighters to extinguish because magnesium reacts with oxygen and water.
And again, the Sheriff's Department not confirming at this point that NBA legend Kobe Bryant was on board. They do want to wait for that final confirmation from the coroner's office. Back here live, you can see some of the folks from the fire department that are here, a number of officials here. So, Pat, we do expect to get an update again at some point. But I can tell you when that press conference was held and we learned that not 5 but 9 people had died, there was just a gasp that went up from everyone here. So much loss here today.
So much loss indeed, Cara. And again, that's why we wait for information to be confirmed, because this is something that we found out just later today. Thank you, Cara. We're going to have more breaking news now. I believe we're going to go to Jim, who's going to talk with someone who was also beloved by Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely, Pat. He is John Ireland. He is the voice of the Los Angeles Lakers. John, you and I have been talking a little bit already, and I know you are in shock as the rest of us are.
Jim, I've been traveling with the Lakers for 22 years and hundreds of flights each year, and this was the worst plane flight I've ever been on. About an hour into it, we normally fly home after the games, but our game in Philadelphia was so late last night. It was a nationally televised game. Didn't start till 8:30 in Philly, and so because of that, the decision was made to spend the night there and fly home this morning to keep everybody on a regular sleep schedule. And about an hour into the flight today is when that news broke, and we were all hoping and praying that it was wrong. You know, in this era of social media, you see somebody or some entity tweet that something as horrible as this has happened. We were just hoping that it was some type of sick hoax, and when we found out it wasn't, you can imagine everybody on that plane is connected to Kobe, and he was the brightest star in our galaxy for every year we were there, and to get this news in the air and to watch the reactions of everybody on board was the worst.
John, what were some of the reactions coming from the players who were in shock on the plane?
Disbelief. Like, come on, what now, Jim, is going to turn out to be his last tweet came last night after LeBron passed him on the NBA's all-time scoring list, and he was very magnanimous. He's been doing a lot of interviews lately talking about how he thought it was kind of a cool thing that a guy in a Laker uniform was going to, move by him on that list, and how he was happy for LeBron, and that was the tweet. He said, way to go, man, keep it moving, and nothing but nice things to say about LeBron, and those guys have always been kind of a mutual admiration society. And Jim, the people I thought about the most were, we've got people in our traveling party that, and I'm on this list, that, our livelihoods and our jobs are as good as they are because of him. I mean, he created, again, I keep using the word star. You know that Hollywood and Los Angeles is a star-driven town, and he was the brightest one of all. He came to the Lakers and teamed up with Shaq and brought us all that excitement when Staples Center opened. And you'll remember this, Jim, that when Kobe and Shaq won those titles, there was no LA Live. Where you've been thrown to reports down at LA Live where all those people are gathering. LA Live didn't exist and maybe never would have come along if it weren't for Kobe. Those guys kind of built the downtown Staples Center energy up, and then they put the big hotel up, and they put up the Nokia Theater, which is now the Microsoft Theater, and so it's just the news today is my reaction to all this is kind of between sadness, disbelief, and shock, equal parts, all three.
John, you are one of the few people that have seen Kobe from day one up until today, and you know exactly how he operates, how he feels, the passion that he has in his heart. He was a guy who really, really cared about wearing that purple and gold.
Maybe more than anyone ever, Jim. If you ask people who's the greatest Laker of all time, some people will say, well, the most popular Laker was Magic. The all-time leading scorer in the NBA is Kareem. The Lakers have a rich history. But the brightest Laker star ever was Kobe. He's the only one who played 20 years with the Lakers. He holds almost every Laker record. And so because of that, he just I mean, we used to use his name as a verb. We used to tell people when we were, when I was working with you and at Channel 2, and then when I transferred over to become one of the Laker broadcasters, we'd say, well, if we could keep this game close, then we can just Kobe it in the fourth quarter, which was code for we just give him the ball and let him win the game. And he was like the Pied Piper. He had such a following because of that, because he brought so much fun and so much energy and so much star power to the Lakers. And I think that's why everybody today is reacting with so much emotion, because even people he had never met, he had brightened their world just by performing as well as he did. And that's why you're seeing these reactions from all your reporters when they're asking people about this news. And Kobe's work ethic and his drive and his positivity is something you can take if you're a policeman or a fireman or an actor or an accountant or a sportscaster, and apply it to you. It's the thing we always used to call the Mamba mentality. And so I think that's why you're seeing the reactions you're seeing today, is because he had that energy around him wherever he went.
John, appreciate your time. Keep the faith, buddy.
Good talking to you, Jim.
Okay, that's John Ireland, who's the voice of the Los Angeles Lakers. Pat?
All right, thanks for that, Jim. Yes, just a tremendous work ethic, that's for sure. We always wanted to see those last shots that Kobe Bryant would make to win the game for the LA Lakers. We've been talking about Kobe, obviously, and his beautiful, lovely daughter. There are other people on board that plane, 7 other people to be, in fact. And our Michelle Gili is live with a family member of one of those victims. Michelle?
Pat, that's right. For the past few hours, there have been hundreds of people coming out here to Orange Coast College, specifically onto the baseball diamond. People here grieving, and that is because Coach Alto, as he was known, John Altobelli, the head coach for many, many years here on this campus, is believed to have been one of those killed, along with his wife, Carrie, and his daughter, Alyssa. With me here is John's baby brother, Tony. And Tony, let's just first talk about how, with regard to the crash, there's so little that you know at this point.
Yeah, I first heard about it. I was walking around Balboa, and I'd got a text message from my older brother asking if I'd heard about Kobe's chopper incident, not even knowing, he didn't even know that my brother may have been on that chopper. So I didn't hear anything about it. I started checking internets, and everything was completely overloaded, so I couldn't get any responses from that. So I reached out to one of our coaches, and my coach asked about my brother, and that made me curious. So I started texting coaches on this baseball field, and one of my assistant coaches called me and told me the news, and that was the first I'd heard of it.
We're going to step aside, Tony, as we continue to talk, just so we can see all of these players who are showing up here, embracing one another, families. There are so many tears being shed, and what they're telling me about your brother, Coach Alto, is that this was a family. He was a father. He was a mentor. Yes, it was about baseball, but there was so much more going on here.
Yeah, we always talk about at Orange Coast the Pirate family, and we talked about that today. We talked about just what Alto meant to everybody, not just the players, but the parents and the time and the effort he's put in over the 28 years he's been here. To just look at this field is the perfect testament of my brother. This field was not in the greatest of shape when he took over the program, and it's now one of the top programs in the nation. So it's a legacy that unfortunately was cut off way too short, but it's going to live on for many, many years.
I want to mention that your brother won 4 national championships here at Orange Coast College last year. He was the National Coach of the Year. So we want to thank you for sharing with us, and we know that you've lost not only your brother, but sister-in-law and a niece, and we appreciate it, and we're all as a community grieving with you. Thank you so much. We'll throw it back to you guys in Studio City.
Michelle, thank you so much. Well, the red carpet is going on in anticipation of the Grammys. Brittany Hopper is there with the Vice. Brittany?
Okay, we're expecting to hear from Brittany Hopper any minute now because that live show, or the red carpet show, is going to start pretty soon. So we did want to get a last-minute hit with Brittany to get some more information from her. There she is. Brittany, can you hear us?
Heated right now. A lot of people are starting to show up on the red carpet, and it's a very somber feeling, I can tell you. If we could just move the camera over here, we have Little Nas and Billy Ray Cyrus. We just saw Blake Shelton. And if we can bring the camera back over here, because I want to go live with Sheila E. You are an inspiration to many in the music world, but you sadly were telling me earlier today you got done with rehearsals because you will be performing tonight. And tell me what happened when you heard this horrible, tragic news of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, we just got off stage and they let us know that Kobe had passed away, and they grabbed my arm and just said, "We have to tell you this," and my knees buckled and I just broke down and just disbelief, and we're in Kobe's house. I mean, and we're doing a celebration of Prince tonight as well, and just the loss of the great
and Nipsey Hussle
as well. So it's horrible what has happened today, but we need to really just enjoy and celebrate life, and we're going to do that tonight as well.
And clearly, you know, Kobe Bryant, he was obviously such a huge fixture in the sports world, but also in everyone's world, right?
Yeah, he's affected people, their lives, not just with basketball, but the things that he's done with his philanthropy and all this. There's tons of things. Yes.
So charitable man and a father and a husband. And
this loss and his daughter is tragic.
It's tragedy. Well, as much as you can have a nice time tonight, enjoy yourself, and I appreciate you coming and talking to us on live TV. Thank you so much. I've been a huge fan of yours for a while, so thank you. You know, we talked to a lot of other people here tonight as well, and it's the same thing, just a somber day. I think we're going to go to a couple of sound bites. I spoke to Rick Ross earlier, and he too, I keep saying this, a man who does not show much emotion, but he showed a lot of emotion. Take a listen.
A big deal, losing a massive superhero for us like that, and
definitely heartbroken. We grew up to Kobe, man. Like I know the city's hurting right now. I'm definitely hurting, but most important, praying for his family, you know, his wife and his 4 kids. So hopefully God will comfort them right now. You know what I mean? So, you know, shout out to Kobe, long live Kobe. We in Kobe's house right now, and it's Kobe's house forever.
Not even sure how I could put that in words. You know, I just got the news, and like I said, I was actually getting dressed maybe a little over an hour ago, and somebody told me that, and, you know, I just stopped what I was doing, and, you know, I waited a minute or two, and I asked him, reconfirm that, because either
I think all of us did.
Yeah, it's either I don't believe this, or I just don't want to believe this. But every time we ever came across each other's paths, I let him know I was a genuine fan of his work. He always moved himself in silence. He was always so classy. He was a great example on so many different levels, and a huge loss.
We're told the Grammys have had to change things up tonight in order to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant. We are live tonight at the Staples Center. Kobe Bryant's home away from home. I'm Brittany Hopper. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks for that, Brittany. You know, before we move forward, Jeff, when Brittany talked about changing the show at the Grammys, so many things have happened during the Grammys period, and you know, coincidence of course, but I can remember, I believe it was several years ago, maybe 2012, when Whitney Houston died prematurely, and they had to change the show for tributes to her. Something like this happens with a superstar like Kobe Bryant, beloved by so many, and so, as she said, that's his house.
Yeah.
All of them said that. That's
in Kobe's house.
Kobe's house, right?
What's so interesting is to have somebody like Kobe that transcends the sport and is somebody that influences music and culture, and to have this happen in his house, the Grammys, on the night of his death. It's amazing how all this kind of intertwines, doesn't it?
You know, I heard someone on the radio earlier, Jeff, because I had just landed coming to work, and they said, now, to say this, you remember where you were when John Kennedy died, when President Kennedy died? There are so many people that will say, I can remember what I was doing when Kobe Bryant died, because he was part of a new generation.
Yeah. We're going to be breaking away from CBS 2 to take you to the Grammys, but we will continue our conversation here and the Kobe coverage on KCAL 9 throughout the evening. So we'll continue to bring that here on KCAL 9 and KCAL9.com, and CBS 2 goes to the Grammys.
All right, well, the world joins the city in mourning over the sudden death of Kobe Bryant.
Here's what we know at this hour about the tragedy that is hitting almost everyone very hard. 9 people on board that aircraft, that Sikorsky S-76 helicopter, when something went wrong over Calabasas this morning. We're told that they were rather on their way to a travel basketball game in Thousand Oaks when that chopper went down.
Well, in addition to Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna, Orange Coast College baseball coach John Altobelli has been identified as among the victims. The NTSB is on the scene investigating how the helicopter went down. We're looking at the weather conditions right now, and it seemed to be very, very foggy.
There was quite a bit of fog this morning, correct. So many fans shocked and saddened about the news, of course, of Kobe Bryant's death.
Well, we're going to go to Staples Center, where that's Kobe's house, let's face it. And we have so many fans that are out to give their respects to Kobe and his family. Our Leslie Marine is live there now. And Leslie, I can just imagine the sea of fans showing up for a very different reason today. You could think about all the times there were just thousands of people who showed up for a Lakers parade to cheer Kobe Bryant. And this time it's very, very different and very painful.
Yeah, I would say it's surreal for a lot of people, a lot of shock. We can switch our camera around here because you will see grown men and women in tears as they drop off just flowers, jerseys, basketballs, photos, whatever they had to pay their respects all to Kobe Bryant. There are literally so many people just in tears. You could feel the emotion. It is somber. Many people telling me the reason they came to Staples Center because this was Kobe's second home. This is where they had joyous moments with him. If you wanted to see Kobe, you could find him here. Even after he finished playing for the Lakers, he would always attend games, and fans would look forward to that, possibly seeing him courtside. So yeah, people bringing down what they have that obviously can memorialize Kobe Bryant. We do want to speak to Gabriel here. He actually was one of the first fans here. He brought down a floral arrangement. Gabriel, what does it feel like for you to be here? I know this moment feels very surreal for a lot of people.
Well, we're here and it's a somber moment, and at the same time we're celebrating Kobe for all the greatness he's brought to LA, being an amazing father, a husband, a friend, a brother, everyone that he's been here, a son, and the best basketball player out there.
You told me that you were actually out doing things when you heard this. You immediately went to go get that floral arrangement and came down here. Why did you need to be at the Staples Center?
Because this is the house that Kobe built. This is his domain. And I felt compelled that as his fan to bring and pay our respects to Kobe, Gigi, and everyone who had passed. And I just felt that I had to come down here.
And I know when you first brought this arrangement, it said rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. You later obviously found out about his daughter, Gigi. Why you went back out, got another ribbon? I mean, just as I'm sure a father, can you imagine this ever happening?
Yeah, no, it's so, we're all in shock. It's just terrible. But when I found out that his daughter was involved as well, it's even more heart-wrenching for everyone. I mean, everyone's with broken hearts, and I felt that she needed her memory to be shared as well, as long as everyone else that was involved in this. And I feel that everyone here is just, we're still in shock, and we're showing our love for Kobe, his family, and everyone.
Thank you so much, Gabriel, for talking to us. As Suzanne would show you, there are plenty of Kobe memorabilia around here, but also all the TVs here at LA Live have this in loving memory of Kobe Bryant sign flashed across the screen. You can see it all around here. Every so often, fans will start to cheer Kobe. They're going right now. You can hear them. They'll be chanting MVP. I will tell you, we've been here for about 2 hours now, and some fans that are standing right in front of this memorial have just not left. They're in tears. They're in disbelief. Across the street, of course, the Grammys going on. And LAPD has alerted people not to come down here. Obviously, it hasn't stopped them, but they want to continue to stress, obviously, they have all the streets around here blocked off because the Grammys is going on at Staples Center. But as you can see, hundreds of fans here. I'll tell you, as time goes by, this LA Live area gets even more packed. But you can see people bringing down flowers. It's very emotional to be out here because, Pat, like you were saying, people came here to celebrate Kobe for so many years, celebrate the championships, celebrate his retirement, celebrate his jersey being retired. Any time that they want to celebrate Kobe, they would come down in front of Staples Center. And today they're remembering this great legend at his second home. Pat, Jeff?
Okay, Leslie, you're mentioning some of the statistics there, Pat. We should probably take a moment to just kind of unfurl just the success that he had. He was a 5-time NBA champion, Kobe, 18-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA scoring champion, and then after basketball, he won that Oscar. And he's also a 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
Dear basketball, yes. And I'm hoping that we can get some video of that later for our audience. That was just a very beautiful piece, touching piece. And you mentioned him winning those gold medals for the United States.
That's right.
He's just such an accomplished young man, but more importantly, I believe, a family man.
Just as Jim had mentioned, there are very few people out there that are known by their first name, and Kobe is definitely one of them.
He is certainly one of them. We couldn't call him anything but Kobe. Well, the chopper that Kobe Bryant and 8 other people were riding in was actually headed to a youth basketball tournament in Thousand Oaks.
KCAL 9's Jake Reiner is live outside the Mamba Sports Academy, where Kobe's daughter was set to play later on today. Jake.
Jeff and Pat, we've been talking all afternoon about what Kobe has meant to the community, and I think this illustrates it. I'll step out of the way so you can take a look at the crowd that's gathered here outside the Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks. People have been coming by, dropping off flowers, telling Kobe stories. I spoke to a father earlier who told me that his daughter was set to play here today, but all of those games have been canceled. He also told me that Kobe was supposed to be here to coach his daughter in a basketball tournament called the Mamba Cup, which is a series of basketball tournaments for youth basketball here, and it is a weekend tournament that was supposed to end today. He was supposed to be here at 2 o'clock to coach that game. So very somber mood here, people sharing stories, and obviously tears as well. I spoke with a number of the kids that have benefited from the Mamba Sports Academy today. One of them actually got to spend some time with Kobe during a basketball camp one summer, and I spoke to him about what it was like to learn from the great Kobe Bryant.
I was starstruck, and it was amazing. It felt like I was in heaven, having fun, learning stuff. I learned that how to get after a defender and get off of him and stuff.
How are you feeling today, buddy?
Sad.
Yeah.
Depressed.
What did Kobe mean to you as a Lakers fan or basketball fan?
He meant to me as my dad.
And that kind of illustrates how a lot of kids looked up to him as a father figure, as someone that was very influential in their lives. And back live, you can see the crowd still out here. They have been coming in droves all afternoon, and it's just remarkable to hear everybody's story, their connection when they've either seen Kobe at a game or met him in person. I know that I've had many arguments over my lifetime about who the greatest basketball player is of all time, and I'm always arguing that if you want someone in the fourth quarter with the ball, the game on the line, it's a close tie, I think, between Kobe and Michael Jordan. But as someone that's grown up in Los Angeles, of course, I would take Kobe Bryant in that matchup. And of course, with the game on the line, you got to give it to the Mamba. So yeah, that's the scene out here. We'll continue to bring you the latest, and stick with us on KCAL 9 and CBS 2. We'll send it back to you, Pat and Jeff, in the studio.
All right, thank you for that, Jake, and love those memories, Jake. I certainly know exactly what he's talking about. For those of us who have grown up with so many of these wonderful players, to hear Jake say that, I don't know, would it be Kobe, would it be Michael Jordan? And just think of the ones coming up later. I'm just
Right.
going to mention LeBron, since he did pass Kobe's record last night.
Just on Saturday.
He is also going to be spoken of, or he already is in that vein. But from the barbershop talk around the country, can you imagine what it is now, what it is going to be? And that's all because of what he brought to the game. Very quickly, Jeff, I interviewed Kobe, I want to say maybe 2008. We were still showing the Lakers on KCAL. I went to meet him actually in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I talked to John Ireland before I did it to say, you know, I'm not going to talk to him about stats and things like that because that's not my lane. And you heard so much about how Kobe was pretty quiet. He didn't just like to talk to everybody, you know. He didn't like to answer a lot of questions. And he says, Pat, I bet if you asked him about his family, he'll just open up. And that's exactly what I did when, at the time, the two oldest girls were born. And it was like we were talking about each other, like on a living room sofa, talking for the first time, laughing and smiling. And, you know, I'm obviously going to remember that, but again, I was such a huge fan. And just remember when he came.
And, you know, that was the thought of so many people on their mind this morning when they heard Kobe Bryant, was that he possibly was with one of his daughters because he supported his family, he supported his daughter so much. Obviously, he was going with his daughter to the Mamba Sports Academy for a basketball game, and that is just like the family man that we've heard over and over and over again. And what's interesting is you mentioned John Ireland. He had mentioned before in that interview with Jim Hill about there was a point in time where Kobe's name became a verb, and they would just say, we would just Kobe it. We would just Kobe it at the end in a tight game, and he would just take him over the top. As we take a look at these live pictures, this is the Staples Center where the Grammys are, and these throngs of people are there for Kobe Bryant.
Again, well, we have seen this outpouring before, but for very, very different reasons. Remember when he retired, when his jersey was that was one of the most illuminating nights, not just in sports history, but history period, because for people to come up and show the love and to thank him for all those years that he gave to the city of Los Angeles, the 5 championships, just the 150% effort that he gave every time he was on the court. To see them now, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that is not just this evening. And again, I can't help but think about so many of the young people that he touched and want to be like Kobe, but also were just inspired to better themselves because he proved what you can do through hard work. And that's what he was about. I think that's another reason why in the beginning he wasn't as, you know, he didn't just welcome media attention because he was about the work and he let the work speak for itself.
You know, we began a lot of reaction here on KCAL Night. We had Jerry West, we've had Magic Johnson, we've had Doc Rivers. We continue to follow all of that reaction coming in on social media.
There's so many people that have weighed in on social media, including President Barack Obama, President Donald Trump. We're going to go to Tina Patel now. She is live in the newsroom with more on this. Tina?
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine just everyone seems to have an opinion because Kobe has been part of our collective lives for so long. As you said, President Barack Obama, Shaq, just a few of the people tweeting about this sad news. Take a look at this. Shaq tweeted, "There's no words to express the pain I'm going through with this tragedy of losing my niece Gigi and my brother Kobe Bryant. I love you and you will be missed. My condolences goes out to the Bryant family and the families of the other passengers on board. I'm sick right now." And this is the tweet from Kanye West. "Kobe, we love you, brother. We're praying for your family and appreciate the life you've lived and all the inspiration you gave." John Legend tweeted, "I'm so sad and stunned right now in Staples Arena where Kobe created so many memories for all of us, preparing to pay tribute to another brilliant man we lost too soon, Nipsey Hussle. Life can be so brutal and senseless sometimes. Hold on to your loved ones. We miss you, Kobe." And former President Obama tweeted, "Kobe was a legend on the court and just getting started in what would have been just as meaningful a second act. To lose Gianna is even more heartbreaking to us as parents. Michelle and I send love and prayers to Vanessa and the entire Bryant family and on an unthinkable day." And that is what a lot of people are saying. It's just unthinkable that Kobe Bryant, who's known to so many in so many different worlds, is gone. Just a few of the tweets that we're seeing, all of these folks talking about on social media. Live in the newsroom, I'm Tina Patel. We'll send it back to you.
Very big outpouring, Tina. Thank you so much. All of that coming to us from social media. Let's take a look at this picture here. This is going to be the live look at the Staples Center. This is where the Grammys are tonight, but you see there in the billboard, you see the crowds. They're all there for Kobe Bryant. And we can tell you that the flight from Long Beach was to Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks when that helicopter went down about 9:45 this morning in Calabasas. 9 people on board, and we have confirmed now of 6 victims. We have Kobe, of course, his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, John Altobelli, also known as Coach Alto, Orange Coast baseball coach, his wife, Carrie, and daughter, Alyssa, along with Christina Mauser, who's a basketball coach at Harbor Day.
Just a really horrible day. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. And Sarah Donchie, Pat is taking a moment off now. And something that she said before she left the set was really interesting, and I think is actually something we're going to see play out over the next couple of days. This is not a scene that we're going to see just for this evening. I think people are going to be creating more memorials and gathering in places all over LA for the next several days. Right. You have to imagine now there are funerals that need to be planned for Kobe Bryant. I imagine that will include some kind of a large public gathering here in Los Angeles.
I would assume the Staples Center
Absolutely.
would be.
And, of course, we don't have details on any of that yet, as this is just developing, and this is news that we just got this morning. So a lot needs to be done to process this information, for the families to process this information. But this is something that we will ostensibly be seeing in the coming weeks. And I think that is going to be another moment when the city pauses and realizes the impact that Kobe Bryant had on this community. And lovers of basketball, I know you're a huge basketball fan.
Sure.
People really, especially growing up here, people really bonded over Kobe Bryant and what he did for the Lakers. And people really bonded just, families. I've been getting texts from friends who just are talking about what an incredible role Kobe played in their childhood, in their adulthood, in just their love of the game of basketball. It's transformative, and it's a really sad day. And I do want to say it's such a sad day for his daughter, for Vanessa and their family, and for the families, this coach's family, and all of the victims in this plane crash. This is an equally sad and devastating day for them.
You mentioned those memorials, and those are growing. We have them at the Calabasas crash site. We have them at Staples Center, which you see there. We know it's at home in Newport Beach, and we also understand it's out at the Mamba Academy in Thousand Oaks. And that's just the beginning of this. This is just a few hours old, and this is going to grow and grow and grow.
I mean, look at this live shot. It's just amazing to see how many people are gathered down there. I do know that we've been reporting on this, Jeff. I know we've been talking to Leslie Muddy in the last hour or so, saying LAPD was actually asking people not to gather. Obviously, resources are going to be stretched thin on a day with the Grammys, where you have such high security there, and all the resources being poured into that event to make sure that is safe and secure. And now you have this large gathering of people, which LAPD now has to contend with. So they are trying to do their best to make sure people stay safe in this kind of a situation. I think that's probably why they're asking people to stay back. But this goes to show just how much people really love Kobe and what he means to them, and how much he'll be missed.
On the ground right now is the NTSB. They will be investigating this helicopter crash in Calabasas. There are 18 members of the NTSB. We had a press conference earlier. They say this is no smaller or larger than any other NTSB investigation. They said that the 9 bodies remain there on the scene, and that's part of the investigation that will continue with the NTSB. Any new information we get on that, of course, we'll bring that to you here on KCAL 9. But Sarah, it's interesting to bring up all the reaction and the people that we've talked to. We talked with Jerry West, who said that Kobe had an enormous desire to succeed, was an inspiration for all. Magic Johnson said nobody took more pride in putting on a Lakers uniform than Kobe Bryant. And one of his competitors, Doc Rivers, the Clippers coach, says a great opponent, and that's what you want in sports, somebody to play against like Kobe Bryant.
And he was really, really emotional as the Clippers had their matchup today.
They have a game tonight.
Crying to the media, talking about how he needed to go talk to the team. I mean, his voice was shaking. It was really, really sad just to see how much pain he was in. The Rockets playing, Tyson Chandler was crying. Sometimes some of the players in the last couple of hours were getting the news on the court. There was a lot of conversation about, whether the games should be played or why they are still being played. And obviously a lot goes into canceling games at the last minute. Certainly fans are being considered in this process as well. But it is a hard day for players in the NBA today who have to go on and play their games like nothing happened. And this man was a friend to them. And obviously just this loss of life is so devastating for these players. And we do have some new information. Our producer's letting us know, aside from Kobe Bryant, we have confirmed identities of some of the other victims. We're working to bring you that information right now. A lot of people have been asking about, who else was on this aircraft. We know multiple victims involved. We've confirmed Kobe Bryant's 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, was also killed.
That's right. Kobe had also coached Gianna's AAU basketball team out of his Mamba Sports Academy. That's the facility in Thousand Oaks where Jake Reiner was just a few moments ago. That was for the past 2 years. They were all reportedly headed to that AAU game when that helicopter crashed.
Yeah, now we know Orange Coast Community College baseball coach John Altobelli was among the victims, as well as his wife and daughter. Just devastating for this local family. Altobelli was entering his 24th season at Orange Coast College as Orange Coast College's coach. In 2019, Altobelli was selected as the American Baseball Coaches Association National Coach of the Year after a season in which he led the Pirates to a state championship. Jeff, you're a family man too. It is just hard to imagine what Coach Altobelli's family is feeling right now. We want to send our deepest condolences to them. This is just a terrible day for that community, for that family as well. He had a beautiful family, and we're just thinking about them right now.
And this is a picture of Altobelli's wife here. Her name is Carrie. Now, John Altobelli, affectionately known by his baseball squad as Coach Alto, said that she and the couple's daughter, Alyssa, also on board that plane when it crashed. And the husband of Christina Mauser posting on Facebook that she died in that helicopter crash as well this morning in Calabasas. Mauser was a basketball coach at Harbor Day School where Kobe's daughter attended. Mauser's husband says that he and his children, of course, devastated.
Oh, it's just really a tough day for all of these families and all of these communities. We're thinking about all of them today, and the pain that they must be feeling is immense. Obviously, Kobe Bryant was well known, but all of these people had families who cared about them, some of them losing multiple members of their families, and it's just really hard and a difficult story for us to cover for sure. We have reporters all over the area. I know that Jeff Nguyen was at the practice facility in El Segundo.
He's with the Lakers practice facility. Let's go to him now. Jeff, what's the latest?
Hey, if I may, I'm going to ask Mike Armijo to kind of pan the camera off me right now and show you the dozens of people who have gathered out here. There is a growing memorial of people who are here shedding tears, but also smiling and sharing their stories about Kobe Bryant. And some of the people who are sharing some of those stories are my new friends here, Taylor and Keenan. Taylor, let's start with you because you're from Westchester and you coached some young players that Kobe was very active in coaching as well. Talk to me about his participation in that program and what he meant to the kids and to you.
At Westchester, I graduated in 2011, and we had a championship basketball team for years and years. Shout out to Coach Zam. He was the one who got Kobe to come, and Kobe would literally come and sit with all of our basketball players and tell them, because Westchester was a predominantly black school, and it being a predominantly black school and just growing up as a minority, you're pretty much told, you won't make it. It's not a possibility. And he would come and tell these kids that as long as you have that work ethic, as long as you keep trying, anything is possible. And that man had so many rings, so many rewards, just did so much for the community, and he wasn't even from here. And for someone to not be from LA and work so hard to make sure kids that live in LA, black kids, Hispanic kids, just any minority and everyone in general, just that's not common out here, and especially for a celebrity. And so someone who has that big of just everything upon him. You can't put one thing on this man, and he did everything in his power to make sure that those basketball players knew that it was possible. And then a lot of them did go and get scholarships for basketball, and a lot of them are very successful now. And I'm pretty sure they could say the same thing, like meeting him those 4 years changed their lives. I mean, it changed my life, and I just got to work with the man. So imagine playing with him.
You mentioned young people of color in Westchester. For those of us who are familiar with Southern California, this is a working neighborhood, right? And to see someone like Kobe who was fluent in Italian, fluent in Spanish, talk to me about the impact that had on young people of color.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Italy, but if growing up in LA, you have friends of all different ethnicities, and we all know every ethnicity has different cultures. And this man made all the cultures he learned into one cohesive thing and taught everybody all of that. And his temperament. I mean, me being an athlete myself, we all know that when you get on the court, everyone's an enemy. Everyone's an enemy. It doesn't matter if you guys have grown up together, are brother and sister, but off that court, he was a gentleman. He did things for people that you wouldn't even expect a celebrity to do. He put his hand out to shake people's hands, and some celebrities just walk past. You know, he did a lot. This man played with a torn Achilles. Like, there's things that this man has done not only for himself, for his team, for his family, for everyone in LA that will forever be remembered. And the different cultures that he learned definitely made him a better person, because the temperament he had, just the way he carried himself, to say that the cultures that he embraced didn't have anything to do with that would be insane.
You know, you talked about he played with a torn Achilles, and if you are someone from a working class neighborhood, the idea of having to grind it out day in and day out without the multi-million-dollar contract, that's a template, no matter being a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, regardless, right?
I mean, I remember being 17 and my senior year, and I had surgery on my stomach, and they told me that I couldn't play volleyball. I was like, no, I'm going to play. And then the only thing in the back of my mind was, I mean, if Kobe's going to play with a torn Achilles, 10 stitches in my stomach isn't going to stop me. And so many kids did that, you know, just not me, just not Keenan, just everyone. Everyone who was a fan of Kobe, if they ever got hurt and was an athlete, they're like, psh, if Kobe could do it, I could do it. You know, so Kobe had an impact, whether you were a female, a male, no matter what you did in life, you said Kobe. You shoot a paper ball inside of a trash can. Kobe, you know, so it was like Kobe is synonymous to LA. You can't get any better than Kobe. And so the fact that he's gone, Gigi's gone, you know, her teammate, that teammate's parent, it's sad. That pilot, it's really sad. It's one of those situations to where you would never think that someone like Kobe, and then especially his 13-year-old daughter, would be taken like that, especially on something that he does on a daily basis. You know, like, I've passed that helicopter pad before, so it's a little shaken. You know, tears have been falling. Today's going to be a hard day for everyone in LA, for sure.
You know, I don't want to be rude to Keenan because he's been polite here, so let me turn the mic over. Hey, Keenan, you know, you led the folks here in a chant, and you're smiling about it. So why don't you go ahead and tell me about that chant, because a lot of people gave you a lot of props for it when they passed by earlier as we were waiting to talk. So can you kind of replicate that for me?
Of course, no problem. I was kind of just saying, in an instance, if Kobe and his daughter were being introduced into heaven, you know, to whoever you believe in, God, Allah, Buddha, whoever, it would go a little something like, you know, introducing the 6'6" shooting guard from Lower Merion High School, 18-time All-Star in the NBA, 2-time MVP, holds the second most points in a single game at 81, first-time unanimous ballot for the Hall of Fame. Introducing, God, you got a good one, Kobe Bean Bryant. So something like that, you know what I'm saying? They loved it, you know, and it made me feel better too, you know what I mean? Because I've been down, and she tell you too, I'm a shoe connoisseur sometimes. So came and brought my Mambas out, signed them, and yeah, she said it's going to be a hard day, but as we were saying earlier too, Kobe really did put a template out, you know, just to say something's Kobe system on playing hurt. Doing things, like I said, the language thing you even spoke of, he actually used that on the court, you know what I'm saying? Learned French for a game to talk mess to Tony Parker, you know what I mean? Learned what he's talking to Luka Doncic on the sideline the other week, like, and just now, you know, we're sitting here looking at him from this side of things, and his daughter and, you know, the people who unfortunately were on the helicopter, but yeah, I'm just glad, as I said earlier, of course, my children, when I do have them, one day they won't be able to say they could do the same, but I'm happy and blessed to say I lived in the same world as Kobe Bryant.
You know, you said that his legacy isn't just basketball. The man won an Oscar.
Yes.
He's behind a $100 million investment fund. As a young man of color, to see someone put forth his money to make these sort of investments and tell stories that otherwise are not told, your reaction to that?
It was definitely necessary, and it still is necessary. Like I said, the fact that, you know, you come across athletes and things of that nature, and once it's just, you know, football, basketball, baseball, most of the time they're done. You know, so I'll coach maybe, I'll do some training on the side. Kobe won an Oscar, Kobe wrote books, Kobe directed, Kobe produced things, Kobe coached, everything, just to show that I'm not going to stop. And I feel like that's kind of the meaning. I keep taking it back to early years, but that's the meaning of that. Kobe said something. You don't put a ceiling on yourself. Whatever it is, you be a different animal, but the same beast. And I might get that tattooed on me, sir, so we'll see.
Hey, I don't know if the control room wants me to toss it back, but if I can keep on going. Taylor, let me turn the camera back to you one more time, because you were talking about the sort of dad that he was. You know, a lot of people ask Kobe about not having a son to kind of carry on his basketball legacy. You're smiling, and tell me why you're smiling, because I don't want to put words in your mouth.
For one, I am the middle child of 3 girls and 2 actual stepsisters. So my dad is one of those dads, you know, who is an amazing man who didn't have a son to continue that legacy. But just like Kobe was saying, my dad would say, it doesn't matter. You know, Gigi played basketball just like he did and was an amazing player. He has 3 other daughters who are amazing in whatever they do, you know, and he was that type of father who it was really like, I don't care if they don't want to play basketball. I have 3 beautiful, healthy girls, well, now 4, and that's all that I care about. If they want to play basketball, cool. If they don't, that's fine. As long as they're successful and have passion with whatever that they do, that's every father's dream. And just thinking about how my dad is with me, and just like, if I don't follow in his footsteps, he won't be completely upset. And that's exactly how Kobe was. And it's very, very sad and heart-turning to know that those 3 girls have to now grow up and be like, well, my dad will love for me to do this. And I know those girls are going to bleed Kobe for the rest of their life. You know, that's all they knew. And not having a son is not the biggest downfall.
Well, you were both so gracious. Thank you for sharing those stories. It was lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for your time.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you so much. And before we hand it back to you, I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way so you can get one more look at the growing memorial here. But from El Segundo, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, one of the many memorials across the Southland. This is at the LA Lakers practice facility. That is where people are gathering. They're also gathering, of course, at the Staples Center. That's home of the Lakers, as well as the crash site in Calabasas. Also in Thousand Oaks at the Mamba Center.
That was just one of my favorite interviews of the day, I think. That was just so touching, their experiences. Jake Reiner, who I know is a major LA sports fan, including the Lakers, a big fan of Kobe Bryant. Jake, I know you grew up here too, and that this is hitting you hard personally. You're standing in Thousand Oaks at the Mamba Sports Academy, the training facility established by Kobe Bryant, and you're standing with a fan now. Tell me who you're with.
Hey there, Sarah. Yeah, it's been a really tough day for everybody here that has been growing up a Lakers fan. And obviously here in Thousand Oaks, we're at the Mamba Sports Academy, which was Kobe Bryant's way of giving back to the community. I'm joined by Laker fan Josh Alpert. Josh, you came here today. Kind of tell us why you decided to come out. I saw you, staring at the growing memorial here. You were gotten very emotional.
Yeah. Like everyone else, this morning started out as a regular day, and all of a sudden, one of my neighbors from the Calabasas area posted that Kobe Bryant was dead, and I just had like a panic attack, and I broke down, and I thought it was like fake news for a moment. I couldn't imagine that it would be true, and then went crazy looking for some credible news sources, and found out it was true, and just sat in my chair all day watching, different news clips of whatever was going on, and I'm just sitting there like I'm mourning, almost like a family member. I haven't felt this way since my father died, like maybe 10 or 11 years ago, and I kind of feel crushed by it. Kobe was, not only was he a superb athlete, he was an icon. He wasn't only a Los Angeles icon, he was a worldwide icon, and this one just hit extra hard. There's celebrities and athletes that die all the time, but this one really got to me, and I felt like I had to come here, being that it's within reasonable distance, and pay my respects like everyone else.
What is it like to be here with all of these Lakers fans kind of mourning together?
It's no different than being at a funeral. It's very somber, and it's terrible. I don't know how else to describe it. It literally feels like no different than being at a cemetery right now. It's pretty bad.
Some fans have been sharing their Kobe memories. Everybody has a story, whether you met him or you were at a pivotal game. Do you have any memories or thoughts that you can share with us?
So I moved out here 4 years ago. Grew up in New York, and I was always a Kobe Bryant fan from across the country. Even before I claimed to be a Lakers fan, I would always catch him in Madison Square Garden whenever possible. And I caught the end of his career out here when I moved here a few years ago. And I think my best memory surrounded by Kobe was the day of his last game. I had full intentions of going to that game, and I forgot that I booked a business trip to New York, and I was so angry because I really wanted to be there, and because I knew it was going to be special. And you can't watch these things live on the plane, but somehow my flight got canceled, and we had to take another flight with JetBlue, and they happened to have DirecTV, and I got to watch the whole game going home, and it was just such a happy moment. That was just one of them. There's a million different ones, but that one is probably the one that sticks out of my mind the most. That experience and the fact that he had such an extraordinary, outro for his career.
Right, and we're here at the Mamba Sports Academy, where he, according to a number of people here, was supposed to be here today to coach his daughter in a basketball game as a part of the Mamba Cup tournament series here, and it just adds to the whole day just being just a horrible, horrible tragedy. But it also shows that he was always willing to give back to the community, and I think that that's kind of what's defining him today.
Yeah, you're right. He was supposed to be here. As a matter of fact, he was here yesterday. They have this big tournament going on. I was supposed to be here last night. I decided at the last minute not to go. And I do know from people that were playing in the tournaments today between here and Oaks Christian, they found out and just everything got canceled. He was absolutely supposed to be here with his daughter to continue playing. So yeah, it's very heartbreaking. I don't even know what to compare this to. Like besides when a close family member could die. I don't know exactly why I felt he was a close family member, but I guess that's the impact that someone who brings so much joy to your life after 20 years has on people.
Right, and he spent every year with the Lakers. Yes. All 20 years he spent here in Los Angeles. That means something. You don't see that every day from players.
No, not at all. It's a very rare thing for players to have longevity with any team. A lot of players, go hopping around for more money or to win rings, and he was lucky enough on draft day to get traded to LA, and he had the best platform possible to go on and win his 5 championships, and he did it all here, and that's very special. It's something you don't see very often anymore.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your thoughts and your emotions as well here at the Mamba Sports Academy. If I can just step out of the way just to kind of show you guys kind of the crowd that's been gathered here all afternoon, people coming by and dropping off mementos, pictures, jerseys, balloons, flowers, you name it, people sharing their stories about what this guy meant to not only the Lakers but to Los Angeles and to everybody around the world. He defined that mentality, that Mamba mentality of never give up. You always have a shot to win a game. I mean, as a fan watching, to have a player on your team knowing that at any point, no matter what the deficit was, you always had a chance to come back and win. It was just such a thrill to watch from a fan standpoint, and being out here today is also special to be amongst everybody here paying their respects to Kobe Bryant. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, that gentleman there really kind of says what most people are feeling. It's like a member of your family has passed away. I have friends in Chicago, San Antonio, Houston, Detroit. I mean, and all of those people from those different areas outside Los Angeles texted me today to talk about Kobe Bryant. It just shows the global appeal, and it really truly is like somebody has lost a member of the family, especially here.
I just think that, for so many years in LA, that Kobe's milestones were almost all of our milestones, that they punctuated so many important moments in all of our lives. And just a couple of months ago, I remember going on YouTube and watching Kobe Bryant's 81-point game in 2006, every point that he scored. And it was just, I feel fortunate now to be able to have watched him play in person at Staples Center. And I think so many people who had the opportunity to see Kobe play over the years feel that very same way, that it was a privilege to be able to watch him play that game the way very few people have been able to do before or since.
And I was here in 2016 with that last game. That season was not a very good season for the Lakers, but that last game of Kobe Bryant, he rose to the occasion. It just was amazing how you saw him put in the whole career, the whole life effort into that last game.
It was
and
such an appropriate way to end his career.
Life.
It was, that game, was so important for so many reasons, for so many people, and it was so important for Lakers fans to see him end that way.
Right.
And it was just so fitting for the way that he'd played throughout his entire career. And Jake brought up a good point. And I remember just being so excited watching him play, even games where the Lakers were struggling.
Right.
Like Jake said, if Kobe was on the court, you knew that there was a chance. This was just a generational talent, just an athlete to marvel at, and truly, by all accounts, a person who's impacted the LA area in a lot of ways beyond the sport of basketball.
And the play-by-play radio announcer, John Ireland, said that it just got to the point where he would put the team on his back, that they would use the name Kobe as a verb, and if they could just get to the fourth quarter, then they could just Kobe it into the victory column. It's amazing. We've talked to so many people here live on KCAL 9 and CBS 2 throughout the morning here. Jerry West had said, Jim Hill said he's largely to be credited for discovering Kobe. Former Lakers player, GM of the Lakers, said he's one of the most horrible days of my life. It's like I lost a son, just like that gentleman said he lost a family member.
Just a feeling that a lot of us, I think, are feeling today. And Jeff Nguyen is at the Lakers practice facility in Thousand Oaks. I have to say, you had a couple of my favorite interviews of the day. Both of those people who are talking to you about their experiences with Kobe as players, about how he taught them to play through adversity and to play through injury. I just thought what they had to say was what a lot of people got out of how Kobe Bryant was so inspiring as a player.
Yeah, I think that's the running theme here, is that work ethic, that Mamba mentality that so many of us remember and so many of us speak about. Right now, I'm being joined by Rick Murcia, who grew up in Inglewood, which is in the shadows of the Forum, where Kobe played initially for Dale Harris before the team moved into Staples and were led by Phil Jackson. So for you, when Kobe was 17 and when he was 19, when he won that first championship, you were a young man. Talk to me about some of the memories that Kobe brought into your family, because your mom and your wife and your sister are here with you.
I saw his first game at the Long Beach Pyramid with D-Fish. Great memories. I saw him play at the Forum. I saw him move to Staples. I saw him win his first championship. I seen him lose his first championship. I had so many great memories of him. He's like family to me and my family. Me and my wife had our engagement photos at Staples Center because of him. I'm going to name my first child after him, and everybody told me I was crazy. It's a blow today, but I miss him like crazy. I feel so bad for Vanessa and the kids and Gigi and everyone. I'm just in utter shock right now, but I'm trying to hold it together, but I'm really trying to remember some of the good right now, but it's just tough. But I can remember my first Laker game that my wife took me to for my birthday. Kobe shook one person's hand. It was my hand by luck, and she was more excited about it than I was. And memories like that will always stick with me. He's an amazing human being. I always wanted to be like him, talk like him, move my mouth like him. He was a spitting image of Michael Jordan sometimes, and he was probably the greatest player I ever got to see live.
For those of us who are Gen Xers or younger, his coming of age, in a sense, was our coming of age. You mentioned Vanessa. When he won that first championship, she was on the bus with him, wearing her braids and whatnot. You're smiling. Talk to me about, what that was like for you as a young person, the city getting that first championship again after the eras of Magic and Kareem.
It was wonderful. I remember it. We had a barbecue. We saw them win their first championship. Everybody was popping champagne. I remember being one of 1 millionth that showed up to that parade and seeing Kobe and Vanessa on the truck, and it was wonderful, and it was a wonderful thing to see, and I'll never forget it.
Growing up in Inglewood, was it even an option to like any team other than the Lakers?
My dad was a Magic guy. We grew up in a Laker household. There is nothing else but to be a Laker fan. That's the truth.
Gotcha. Do you think your wife would want to talk to you? Do you want to come over and join us, or mom? No, you guys are too kind of sister? No. whose idea was it to come down as we're kind of showing them?
My mom, my sister, they said, "What are you doing? Let's stop being here and let's go pay our respects." And I told them, "Let's go." We went to the forum, and then after we went to the forum, we decided to come down here, and we just wanted to lay some flowers and say some good things about him and send out our prayers to his family and the rest of the families that were affected by this.
Rick, thank you very much for being so gracious to give me your time. Pleasure. Mrs. Murcia, nice to meet you. You're very kind. Thank you so much. And from the Laker training facility here in El Segundo, we'll send it back to you.
Hey, Jeff, thank you so much. Live from the Laker training facility, serving as just one of those places where people are gathering throughout the Southland. We know it's there. We know it's in Thousand Oaks at the Mamba Sports Academy. We know it's at the crash site in Calabasas, as well as his home on the Newport Coast, as well as the Staples Center.
Just unbelievable to see the video of how many people are outside Staples. I suppose that should not be surprising, but, you know, considering the Grammys are down there as well, you know, LAPD, by the way, keeping an eye on that. They want to make sure everyone stays safe, and obviously they were, you know, planning for the Grammys. That's a high level of security over there, and now they have this large gathering of people to contend with. I'm sure they want to make sure that everything stays calm in the downtown area. So they were initially asking people not to show up, although there are now hundreds, if not thousands, of people there.
It appears that they are embracing that, which is a good thing, because LA Live, right across the street from the Staples Center, they put a billboard up in remembrance of him, and I think that's a very good opportunity for people to go down there. I mean, as somebody said earlier, this is the house that Kobe built. This was his home. Staples Center is him. It really is. And we've had a chance to speak to a lot of people throughout the morning and the afternoon and into the evening here on KCAL 9. Magic Johnson, Doc Rivers, and Jerry West as well. Let's hear from Jerry now.
To hear this news this morning, frankly, at first I was shocked, and then after a while it's really sunk in. And you know, to see the transformation of him from a 17-year-old kid who used to spend time at my house with me, to my son Ryan driving him around because he couldn't drive. He couldn't even sign a contract because he was too young. To him, the constant questions about the NBA, wanting me to go to a gym with him to watch him work out and maybe make suggestions to him. It was more than, I really felt like a surrogate father to him. And then as his career blossomed and you know, he started to establish this enormous reputation as a player, and also filled with accomplishments. But his charisma on top of it was something that most great players don't have, and he had it. But to wake up to this news, this has been one of the most horrible days of my life. I felt like I've lost a son, and frankly not doing very well.
I think some of the most emotional sound that we've heard and interviews that we've gotten have been from NBA executives, former NBA players, just, you know, current players are out there playing games right now. There are NBA games scheduled, and they're ongoing as we speak. And it's just been so hard to see their reaction to this. And some of them finding out on the court, it looked like, from some video from earlier. So this is just a really hard day. Obviously, Jerry West, incredibly emotional. And some other players and former players are posting online, too.
You know, it's amazing because Jerry West went on to say that Kobe has an enormous desire to succeed and inspiration for all. And that's really one of the reasons why he transcended the sport. He was an inspiration for everyone, not just people that were into athletics. We had a soundbite earlier from somebody who said, I think it was from John Ireland, that said it didn't matter if you were a police officer or a plumber or a doctor. You found inspiration from Kobe Bryant.
I think that's so true. And, you know, one of the players that posted, former players, I should say, legends, NBA legends, that posted about this on social media with a video response fairly quickly after this news spread was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He went to Twitter to post a video reacting to the news of the death of Kobe Bryant. Here's what he had to say.
It's very difficult for me to put in words how I feel about the loss of Kobe Bryant. As a young boy, I met him when he was 11 or 12 years old. I was friends with his dad, Joe. We were former adversaries. Joe played for the 76ers, but he was a good friend and someone that I shared a friendship. And it's hard for me to understand now how this is affecting Joe and his wife. So To Kobe's family, I want to send my most sincere and heartfelt regrets and prayers, and my thoughts are with you guys. Kobe was an incredible family man. He loved his wife and daughters. He was an incredible athlete and a leader in a lot of ways. He inspired a whole generation of young athletes. He was one of the first ones to leave high school and come into the NBA and do so well, dominating the game and becoming one of the best scorers that the Los Angeles Lakers has ever seen. I had the privilege of being there when he scored his 81-point game, and it was something that I will always remember as one of the highlights of the things that I have learned and observed in sports. Kobe, my thoughts are with you. Absolutely. Rest in peace, young man. This loss it's just hard to comprehend. Go with God.
Another Laker great, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, talking about Laker great Kobe Bryant.
And we are going to be hearing tributes all throughout the evening. Another gentleman who really stands out in particular because of his greatness in coaching these basketball players, but at the same time, him being a father also. He was so emotional today. Really, our hearts feel bad at the same time for Clippers coach Doc Rivers, and we do have some sound from him that we want to play right now.
Listen,
play a game right now?
I don't know. I just don't have a lot to say. The news is just devastating to everybody who knew him, known him a long time. And, he means a lot to me, obviously. He was such a great opponent, It's what you want in sports. He had that DNA that very few athletes can ever have, the Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordans, It's funny, I was getting to know him more since he retired, this is a tough one. We have to go play. The news is just so devastating for Vanessa and his family, and there's just so many people he touched, it's looking at my young players and seeing how emotional they are. They didn't even know him, and it just tells you how far his reach was. So, this is just shocking news for all of us. And sorry, I don't have a lot to say. I just can't. I have to go talk to a team before a game and tell them to play a game.
What was your last interaction with Kobe like?
It was great. We were at a function 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we sat and talked for probably 45 minutes. We always like to reminisce. We would always laugh at our versions of our losses. When we beat them in 2008, he had his version, and when they beat us in 2010, I had my version, and we would laugh at how different we looked at the games. This is a great loss for the league, and I thought he had so much more left to do, and he was starting to do it. Never seen him happier, so I don't know.
Do you feel blessed that you were able to?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I was part. I'm lucky that I, got to coach and compete against him. And, and I feel for so many people. I mean, it's obviously his family, I can't imagine. Lou played with him, Ty Lue played with him, Cliff coached with him. Kawhi was very, very close with him, and so was Paul George. And he meant a lot of good for our league, and especially the competitive part of our league. So, sometimes things don't make sense, and there's times you should feel, you just feel sad, and this is one of them, and you have to get through it. We all will. We all have to be strong. We laughed and joked about the mama mentality. We're all going to need it right now. And there's nobody. I think everybody right now is a Laker fan. We're all Lakers today. You feel for that community, for Jeannie and everyone else. I think people think because you compete against people sometimes that you don't have a relationship with them and you don't like, and it's probably the exact opposite. I think sometimes the more you compete, the more respect you have for the opponent. I would say that's the way I felt with Kobe, and so that's all. I just don't have a lot to say.
Just moving statements there from Coach Doc Rivers, a father, someone who knew Kobe Bryant very, very well. And then just picking on some of the more poignant statements that he made. He still had so much to do. He had so much left. And how true. He has a baby girl who either is a year or hasn't quite turned a year.
Right.
A 3-year-old. And then the other two girls, and Gianna losing her life today, and thinking about Vanessa. And I believe Jim had mentioned it earlier. Remember Joe Jellybean Bryant, his dad, his mom, his sisters, and then Vanessa's family. There's just so much heartbreak and sadness in a very close-knit family, and then such a wide family, such as the Laker Nation. People of Los Angeles who may not necessarily have been Laker fans, but still admired and respected Kobe Bryant. And you certainly couldn't take that away from him, not only his ability to play basketball, but just his tireless work ethic. I could remember kids, Sarah, just, I'm going to practice like Kobe, because that's how I'm going to improve my free throws. I've got to be in the gym.
A generation, including me and so many of my friends. Just the way he played the game, it just made you love basketball and the sport that much more. It was just really incredible. And I know, Pat, as a mom, that you feel the same way that I do. That it's just so awful to hear about the loss of a child. Losing a child is obviously not natural, and we feel so bad for not only Kobe Bryant's family, but for the families who lost loved ones in this crash. Remember, multiple victims in this plane crash, and a lot of questions about what happened, certainly questions that are trying to be answered right now by the investigators.
Three people who still have yet to be identified. Right. Our Kara Finstrom is standing by in Malibu at the Lost Hills Sheriff Station, and she has some more information for us now. Kara?
Yeah, Pat, we have learned from the Sheriff's Department that it is unlikely we're going to get any further information about the identities of those 9 people who lost their lives tonight. They are telling us that they are now waiting for the coroner's office to do their very difficult work, and also for NTSB investigators who are flying in from the East Coast to arrive. They say it's most likely we'll have another update tomorrow. But here's what Sheriff Alex Villanueva told us earlier today.
There were no survivors. We have a manifest that indicates that there was 9 people on board the aircraft, the pilot plus 8 individuals. There is wide speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin.
The fire department says they got a 911 call reporting a helicopter down and a brush fire at 9:47 this morning. They say firefighters with medical equipment hiked in. Others were actually dropped from the helicopter to try and reach and help anyone who was on board. But again, sadly, they then discovered that all 9 people on board had died. Fire Chief Darrell Osby also spoke about one of the specific challenges fire crews had to face as they worked to put out those flames.
Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines to extinguish the stubborn fire, as it included the brush fire, debris from the helicopter, and the fire also included magnesium, which is very hard for our firefighters to extinguish because magnesium reacts with oxygen and water.
And Pat and Sarah, very emotional day out here for all the first responders as well. You could see that there was a sense of shock, disbelief amongst the leaders as they held that news conference. Everyone just really hard to grasp and to accept that this happened earlier today.
All right, Cara, yes, as you mentioned, it's going to take some time to get all the information together to find out exactly why this chopper went down, for one, and of course to identify some of the other people that were on board that plane, 3 other victims, because they have to notify next of kin. This is just a very, very emotional day all around.
Well, this is just in the preliminary status when it comes to the NTSB investigating. They brought 18 people in. It's called their GO team to come to that location. As we understand it through the sheriff's press conference, the bodies remain there at the scene, and that'll be part of that investigation. And so when they get there, they have to go through and find out all that they can, and that is going to be, several weeks, I'm sure, before we get the actual cause.
Time consuming, but hopefully we will get the identities of the other people, the other victims, especially for the family members.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've been following breaking news, of course, all day since this happened at 9:45 this morning, I believe. But the death of Lakers legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter. We have 6 other people that were killed in that plane crash. Some of note, when I say that could be well known in the Orange County community, Mr. John Altobello, his wife and daughter on the plane.
That's right.
Right? And we have another gentleman that was also.
We'll have Christina Mauser. She's a basketball coach at Harbor Day. You mentioned Kobe and Gianna, and then John Altobello, who is affectionately known as Coach Alto at the Orange Coast. He's the baseball coach there. His wife, Carrie.
24 seasons.
Yeah, and daughter, Elisa. And we believe that Elisa was a teammate of Gianna, and they were going to the Mamba Sports Complex in Thousand Oaks.
These are families that have been just torn apart by this news. And of course, we are talking about Kobe Bryant because of how well known Kobe Bryant was, how much he was admired all over the world, not just here, and certainly because of the championships that he brought to Los Angeles, because we are known for our championships, of course, but just everything he gave to the game and to the fans, and his appreciation. The night that they retired his jerseys and his farewell to the fans. It was just so heartfelt. And I think he just took everything in coming from them because he gave so much back.
Do you remember that last game? You remember that season
How
was
many
not
points?
Yeah, that was not a very good season for the Lakers, but that last game, you could feel that he was putting whatever he could to put the little, exclamation point on his career.
And he did. How many points did he score? We're going to talk to Jim in a minute. He can tell us that. But at the same time, even the other team, they wanted Kobe to go out, and boy, did he. He put on a clinic, right? That's for sure. That will never be forgotten. That everyone will remember that.
It's not just Los Angeles. Of course, we know he has global appeal. He's from Philadelphia. I bet you there's some memorials going up there in the city of brotherly love. And you just know that we've got several here. And his appeal internationally and globally. I mean, it's amazing.
China, Turkey,
Italy.
He
spoke
had
Italian.
So many. Well, he lived there for quite some time. He had a very, very far reach in terms of his impact, both on the basketball court and off the basketball court. And at the same time, just what he meant we're giving the scope of celebrities and people well-known, other superstar athletes, but he also touched just the little guy I was just talking to someone out on the lot, and just how sad they were and how they remember watching him grow up. There are so many people that we have yet to hear from, Jeff, that he has touched. So we're going to go back to our breaking news. Lakers legend Kobe Bryant killed in a tragic helicopter crash in Calabasas.
In all, we're told 9 people aboard killed, including Kobe's 13-year-old daughter. The stunning news leaves fans and the world in complete shock.
Well, tonight, everyone, as we've been mentioning, from fans to celebrities to those who knew him best, are devastated by this heartbreaking news.
Kicking Line's Juan Fernandez live in the newsroom right now with what we are learning tonight. Juan?
Well, Pat and Jeff, L.A., of course, in tears over the man they called the Black Mamba. Kobe Bryant, who cemented his legacy with NBA championships and giving back to the city he loved so much, was killed in a chopper crash in Calabasas this morning. And here's what we're learning right now. All this information coming into our newsroom right now. 9 people were on board that Sikorsky S-76 when something went wrong just before 10 this morning. We're told they were on their way to a travel basketball game when the chopper went down. Here, what you're looking at right now is the flight pattern of the helicopter just moments before it crashed and caught fire. We obtained this from FlightAware, and you can see there towards the end, it goes from Orange County to the San Fernando Valley when it started spinning uncontrollably. This will be, of course, be part of the NTSB investigation of how exactly that chopper went down. Well, in addition to Bryant and his daughter, 3 members of one family died in the crash. John Altobelli was the head coach, baseball coach at the Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. His wife, Carrie, and their daughter, Alyssa, were also on board. The husband of Christina Mauser posted on Facebook that she also died in this helicopter crash. Mauser was a basketball coach at Harbor Day School in Newport Beach, where Kobe's daughter attended school. Mauser's husband says he and his kids are devastated. Well, as we learn the names of more of these victims coming into our newsroom, we'll let you know right away. Meantime, reporting live, I'm Juan Fernandez. Pat and Jeff, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Juan Fernandez. And we're going to go to our Jim Hill, who has been talking with so many people involved, not only in the sports world, but just in life. People who really loved and admired Kobe.
It's really amazing, Pat. I just got off the phone with the brilliant Times writer Bill Plashkin. We have Bill, who is on the phone right now. Bill, are you there?
Yes, I am, Jim. How you doing?
This is a bad day, Bill. Yeah, I mean, for you, for all of us, and I know particularly for you because you had a very special relationship with Kobe.
Yeah, I'm devastated. He and I, our journeys kind of mirrored each other. We talked about that a lot. You know, he came to LA in '96, and I started writing my sports column for the LA Times about a month later. So I've been with him through all the ups and downs and everything, and you know, he's yelled at me and I've yelled at him, and we've had our fights and we've embraced, and I've seen him. As he grew up, so did my column, and so did this city. The city grew up. I think that's why everybody's so affected today, because I feel like sports fans in LA and everybody in LA feels like they grew up with this guy. And I did what might have been the last interview with him. I called him we just talked last week. I called him about the LeBron James passing him on the all-time scoring list. And I expected Kobe to be defiant and obstinate and say, hey, you know, don't mess with my legacy. But he instead was warm and embracing of LeBron and urged Laker fans to consider LeBron a real Laker and said stop with the defacing the murals and all that junk and celebrate LeBron for who he is. And Kobe was, you know, he said if a mark of greatness is that you're able to pass that greatness along. That's what he was doing. And he really sounded like he had really grown up and become a wise, and he's in an attempt to become a community leader.
It was almost Bill, like he had come to grips with himself about what he was supposed to do in his post-athletic career.
Yes, he really, that's what's so sad. He talked about his girls and Gian and the basketball, and he was such a fan of women's basketball and such a supporter of it, and so inclusive, and he really was. He had become, you know, a lot of the city, I think, really felt like they didn't know him that well because he was so tough on the court and off the court and always had the scowl and the Mamba mentality. But he's really a softie and a sweetheart of a guy, and I think he really loved L.A. And the last thing he told me in our conversation before he hung up, we talked for a while, is that he said he wanted, and I didn't even ask him that, he said, I just want you to make sure L.A. knows how much I appreciate everything the city's done for me, and I could never pay the city back for all it's been to me. And he said that unprompted by me, and that was his last words to me. And I think that's how he wants to be remembered, as a person who really appreciated. He knew this city, had grown up with him and seen his foibles and seen his greatness, and went through all the off-the-court stuff with him and everything like that. And still, at the end of the day, supported him and cheered him and lifted him up like he lifted us up. He's the most, I'd say, Jim, he may be the most, given the area to social media, he may be the most famous athlete in this city's history, if you think about it. Given the eyeballs on the social communication we have today, he may be the most celebrated athlete in the city. He may be the most celebrated human being in this city right now. At its passing, and his impact is it just cuts a hole in our heart. LA has just lost a little chunk of its heart.
I know, Bill, and one of the things that in your column you say his legend wasn't supposed to end this way.
I didn't think Kobe could. I don't think anything could bring him down. Mambas don't die. Mambas live forever. I thought he was going to be 70 years old and wobbling over to the Staples Center and sitting courtside. So, Jim, think about this. He never got to see a statue of himself. He never got to see himself in the Hall of Fame. And of course, much more compelling than that is he never got to see any of his 4 girls walk him down the aisle. Never got to see his daughter play high school basketball. It is tragic beyond proportions, and it's just overwhelming. And I just didn't think. I thought it was a joke. I heard the news and I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was a joke. I thought it was somebody's wrong. It wasn't Kobe. He couldn't have been in a helicopter. There's no way, he couldn't succumb. Nothing could beat him. That's the way he played. His Mamba mentality overtook this city, and we believed in him and believed in our commitments and believed in ourselves. And I taking Mamba mentality to work every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Give it all you got. Don't save anything. But there's also, Bill, another thing that you wrote in your column, and it is simply when you say Kobe Bryant is gone. Those are the hardest words I've ever had to write for this newspaper.
I was crying when I wrote it, Jim, and I was screaming. I'm here in Miami at the Super Bowl, and I'm coming home tomorrow, but I went outside and screamed out into the afternoon air. I can't believe it. I can't believe I even wrote that. I can't believe I still don't believe it's real. I can't believe we're not going to see him a couple days from now at the Laker-Clipper game, or can't believe we're not going to see him doing something at the Oscars or something. I can't believe it. It's just numbing. It's beyond explanation, and it really is, and it really does strike into every little part of this city. Even people who didn't like him, and he had his detractors, and you and I both know that very well, Jim. As you and I have been his detractors over the years, even people who didn't like him were affected by him, and were moved by him, and were touched by him, and can empathize with him.
And it's really amazing too, Bill, because when you see Kobe around other people, they get excited, they get happy, people start crying. It's just amazing that he was given this gift that has affected us all from a very positive standpoint.
Oh my gosh, he shows up in a room and he lights the place up. He was at Staples Center with Gianna this year. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was courtside, and he's the only person alive, I think, who can go to a Laker game and the players will they all watch him. He goes to watch a game and they watch him.
And one of the other things you and I talked about is that when he went to Laker games and sat at courtside, that would make the players, no matter whether it was the Lakers or the visiting team, they would all want to put on a show for him.
Yes, and that was what the biggest problem LeBron James had last year when he came here, was that he wasn't Kobe Bryant, because Kobe. And I said this, I don't care how injured he was, Kobe dragged that team, he tore his Achilles heel and dragged that team to the playoffs. Kobe, never, ever gave in, never, either he won it all or he considered himself a loser. He never gave in, ever. And that's what's so stunning today is that something out of his control killed, Kobe Bryant's dead. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd think that.
I know. I know. That's what we're all saying right now. How can this be? How can something like this happen? And then I'm reminded of a saying. That saying is, "The good, they die young."
Yeah, well, he was just coming into his own, too. He was just coming into his own as a civic and cultural leader. And remember, Jim, you not joked about this. The minute he retired, he was done with the Lakers. Everybody says, oh, he's going to come back and coach or general manager Lakers. He wanted nothing to do with running basketball. He had bigger things in his mind, bigger things in his life. He was going to be a contributor to a lot of different areas of this town, and he gave so much. And it shows. I just heard your newsman say there are people on the helicopter with him, were people from his daughter's school and from his local community college, and he lifted everybody up. He took people with him everywhere he went.
And
that's how he rolled.
And he made the transition from athlete to businessman easier than anyone else I've ever seen.
The next, Jim, I talked to him the day after his retirement, the day after he scored 60 points against Utah. He called me, and he wanted to talk about a business idea. Day after. And I said, well, how about the Lakers? How about Byron Scott? No, that's not my business anymore. I'm done with that. He was done. He really made a transition perfectly. And again, in his words to me, and I'd urge anyone to go back and read the column I wrote last week about LeBron James and Kobe. And Kobe says, give props to LeBron. I play for the purple and gold. I don't play for myself. This is bigger than me. It's about LeBron. Give the props to him. I mean, but also think about the irony in this. The day after LeBron passes his record, Kobe Bryant passes away.
Yeah.
That's just, the whole thing is just, it's going to take us a long time to get over this one, Jim. This was a stunning of a demise as a death of this city as seen in athletic-wise in many, many years.
I know you were talking about the last interview I did with him was just about 10 days ago, and we were talking about LeBron passing him and stuff like that, and he said, he turned to the camera, he said, LeBron, congratulations, that's the way to go, we love you, bruh. And when he says love you, bruh, that's like, we love you, brother, and that's the brotherhood of the Los Angeles Lakers.
And that's what he wanted to he kept telling me, write about that, write about our brotherhood. We're all, LeBron's one of us. He's one of us. Write about that. Yeah, in fact, he could have, I asked him if LeBron could have broken the record against the Clippers Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. And I said, Kobe, would you be there? He said, no, I'm not going to that game. That's LeBron's moment. I'm going to give him his moment. Yep. He wasn't going to, and he could have hijacked that in a minute.
Yeah.
People in town always are going to want to say this is Kobe Bryant's town, not LeBron's town. Well, of course it's Kobe's town, but Kobe didn't have to say that. He never didn't have to promote that. It just was.
And also reading in your article that you wrote, you say, go ahead, keep crying. You won't be alone. A huge hole has been cut out of Los Angeles' heart, and the wound is breathtaking.
It is breathtaking, right? And people I'm getting texts, I'm sure you are too, text from everyone, everywhere, people who are just casual fans, people who didn't even like him. And there was people who just really didn't like him. And we know of all the reasons why, the off-the-court issues, the selfish on-the-court issues, the perception of that. People didn't like him. I didn't like him sometimes. You didn't like him. Mm-hmm. There's parts he didn't like us sometimes. But he always showed up, and he always played hard, and he gave himself completely to the team, to the community, to the world. And to have him taken away so soon is it's tragic beyond recognition.
Bill, you're one of the few people that I know of that, and there's a select group of us here who have watched Kobe Bryant and watch him come into town and watch him grow and watch him mature, watch him to develop.
We were at his first game. We were at his first game and his last game.
Yep.
And remember the three the air balls in Utah?
Yes.
You were there next to me, shoulder to shoulder, watching him. We're saying this kid's nuts. Is in his first playoff game, and he kept shooting. He didn't care. Kept shooting the three balls. Didn't care. Kept shooting.
And I remember Bill at halftime, and I've told this story before. They go into the locker room at halftime, and Kobe says, you guys are scared. If you're scared and you're afraid to win this game, get out of my way. I'll win it myself.
That's wild. And he's just an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid saying that. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's all, the 81 points against Toronto, the championship against Boston. All right, Jim, here's one. He never get to see, he not talked about this, about possible statues. He didn't want to discuss what his statue would have been, but he was looking forward to seeing it. Now he'll never see it. What would you think the statue should be of him? what do you think? Which pose do you think he should take? I think it should be him standing on the press table, basketball in his hand, hands upraised. But there are several, him shooting, him taking a fadeaway. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do for him.
Yeah, and he's got 2 jerseys retired.
2 jerseys retired. And he never got to go into the Hall of Fame. Imagine that.
I know, Bill. There's a lot of things that Kobe will never get to do, but the things that stick out in my mind is what you mentioned earlier, is about watching his girls grow up, watching his girls walk down the aisle.
And he told me, he said, Bill, you don't know pressure. He just said this to me last week when we talked. You don't know pressure till you have to meet someone who wants to date your 17-year-old daughter. And that's, and you can imagine having to meet the Mamba on the doorstep. Yeah, most guys are afraid of meeting the mom. These guys are afraid of meeting the Mamba. He was so doting to his daughters too, so doting to them. Just, and again, little Gianna was his basketball buddy. She went with him everywhere.
He loved showing off his girls, didn't he?
Yes, and I can't imagine the pain Vanessa feels. Right, I cannot imagine. I just can't even begin to imagine it. And my heart goes out to her. My prayers go out to all them, to all the people involved in the crash. We can't forget the others who perished as well. That's really important in coming days. Jim, it's important to remember the baseball coach, Daltabelli, and remember the high school basketball coach, and remember all them. It's so important because I feel like they'll get initial shock, they'll get left out, but they should not be forgotten.
No, you're absolutely right. Bill, thank you so much. It's amazing. You covered his first game, like you mentioned, and you covered his last game.
So did you, Jim.
Yeah.
And I'm flying back from Miami. I'm at the Super Bowl. I'm canceling the Super Bowl, and I'm coming back to Miami to go to the game Tuesday because I want to be there for the completion to see the full circle. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do, but it's going to be compelling, I'm sure. Yeah, well,
knowing the Lakers the way that we do, and I know you know Jeannie very well, it will be full of passion. It will be full of
to be crushed.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I can't imagine. All right, buddy, hang in there.
All right, buddy.
Jim.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate your time, man. That's Bill Plaschke of the Los Angeles Times, and Bill is one of the premier writers, in our profession, not only in the Los Angeles area, but in the entire country. And I tell Bill a lot of times, I like sitting next to the writers, because if they say something critical about a guy, they're there the next day, to face him with it. Yeah. And I've seen him write some pretty tough stuff about people. But he's right there the next day. And Kobe was always one who was there nose to nose with him, explaining why he did what he did. So,
what also I so learned and admired about Kobe over the years, he didn't like hypotheticals.
Yeah.
You could ask him a hypothetical question. You make up things, or, well, what if, like today, what if you were playing, well, wait a minute, I'm not playing against, so I'm not going to answer that because I don't know. I can only talk about when I played, what I did, then.
I'll give you another one. I was talking to him about the Hall of Fame. I said, if ever there was a surefire Hall of Fame, you were it.
Yeah.
I said, if you thought about what you're going to say, like you said, no, haven't thought about it yet. I'll wait and deal with that when the time comes.
Yeah.
He always dealt in the present.
Yeah.
And he's something.
We're so lucky to have the perspective of you, Jim, and the people that you've interviewed today. We want to go back to the first time that you met Kobe Bryant. I think we have some video. And if you don't mind walking us through that. He's 17 years old, and you're interviewing him at Staples Center.
Yeah, this was when he appeared on Arliss.
Oh, that was a show.
Yeah, the Arliss. Remember the TV show Arliss?
Yes, I do. I remember this.
And I was talking to him about that, and we were just laughing and joking and going on. And Kobe then acted like he had been in the business 15, 20 years. He was just absolutely incredible, and he knew how to handle himself in front of the camera. In this particular clip, he was speaking English and Italian, which kind of threw all of us off. But we were laughing and joking about him, what he was going to do with the Lakers, how he felt about being a Laker, the responsibility he felt to the community as being a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, who's going to be the Lakers, the iconic team and one of the top iconic teams in all of the world. And so this was the first interview with him when I did in Arliss, and we laughed and joked about that. Even until a couple of weeks ago.
You took him under your wing, too. Let's face it, Jim. When there's young men that come into this town and are in sports and outside of sports, we know, the audience knows about sports. They get to know Jim Hill. And most of them are smart enough. Oh, come on, take it. They're smart enough to know, okay, I can learn a lot from him. And you take the time with them to whisper some things in their ear, to pull them to the side, and just give them a little, a little bit of information. That's wonderful. I love to watch you two banter back and forth over the years.
We can't discuss all the things we.
Well, see, no, I'm just talking about the things that we can discuss.
But no, some of the things we talked about strategy, and we talked about his heart, and how big a heart he has, and how he will go to the ends, he will go to the depths, to the deepest part of the ocean, to help his teammates, to do what's supposed to be done in order to win a game. He probably is the most singularly focused athlete I've ever met.
That leads me. That's interesting, because there's a quote about Kobe Bryant that said he was relentless, competitive, and had a work ethic. And I underscored ethic because there are people that have passion, there are people that have the ability and can be competitive, but if they don't have the ethic, they can't reach the heights of like a Kobe.
And one person like Bill Plaschke, we were just talking about, Bill saw that.
Yeah.
Bill, there were a few of us that saw that passion, that work ethic. There were some of us that saw him when they went on the road and he had a bad game on the road, and he would ask the arena to keep the lights on at night after everybody left so he could go to the visiting team's arena and shoot.
Practice.
Okay?
Yes.
To the visiting team's arena and shoot, and they would be glad to do that for him. He had the it factor. You may not be able to spell it, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah. And he certainly had it. And I like listening to Bill too, talking about, well, there were people that didn't like Kobe, didn't like that maybe he was getting the attention or that he was getting the ball. But when you look at what he did to do that, you have to step back and give him credit. He was only working so hard to improve himself, and that way he could improve others around him. So while you got upset because he was practicing late, he was practicing late. What were you doing?
He's one of the most brutally honest people I've ever met. If he liked you, he told you. If he didn't like you, he told you even faster. That's how, and he would do things for, and there were other times, he went down to speak to the University of Alabama football team, and they were in awe. He spoke to the Chargers, and they were in awe. He walked into the room, and the Chargers arranged to have him, Josh Ruppich arranged to have him come and speak to him, and when he walked into the room, these are NFL players who were in awe of him.
You know what? We want to go full circle here because we talked about the first interview. Now that we have some footage of the last interview, which wasn't that long ago, so tell us a little bit about the interaction and that last interview with Kobe Bryant.
It was about 10 days ago. We were at the LAFC and the soccer team over there, and he is an investor in the sports drink. And when you have Kobe Bryant on your team, it's an instant winner. And Kobe is a very, very smart, savvy businessman. And so we went over there, and I told him, I said, you know what? If you didn't play basketball, you'd play soccer. He said, yeah, I like it. I love soccer. I love soccer. And he was talking about how he does this with his daughters. And then we went off and we got ready to do an interview with him afterwards. And just before he walked away and got in his car and drove away from LAFC over by the Coliseum, this is the last interview with Kobe Bryant.
Anyone who knows anything about you knows that if you hadn't been a Hall of Fame player, you'd be a great soccer player as well. You love this sport.
Well, I do love it. I mean, growing up in Italy, that was a primary sport, So when I first moved over there, it was, basketball was an afterthought. So, it was like a religion. You had to play soccer every single day.
You've always been one who's concerned about our young people and their health.
Well, it's extremely important. It's all education, right? If we're looking at our youth and what we can provide for them, there are two things. It's education and inspiration, right? And we got to be able to provide those two things. And with this partnership with MLS, we're looking forward to doing that, going all the way down to their youth programs and educating them on what it means to be healthy, what it means to be active, what it means to be healthy and active. And so this will be a fun partnership.
And as far as the Lakers are concerned, they're playing like dogs, man. They're playing like they want it.
Yeah, well, Rob did a great job of assembling the team. I mean, he put them together really smartly with size and versatility and tenacity. I mean, these are guys that are really competitive. They all have something to prove, but they all have a versatile skill set that they bring to the basketball floor, and they've been doing tremendously well.
And I've noticed that whenever you go to a game, LeBron's game steps up just a little bit. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, he's always playing at a high level, man, and it's been fun to watch. I mean, it's been so much chatter about him kind of being over the hill, you know, coming after last season, and you know, so he came into this season with a chip on his shoulder, and he's certainly playing like it.
Congratulations, HOF. I mean, if there was ever a safe bet, it was you going into the Hall of Fame.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
What does that mean to you? Have you had a chance to just sit and really think about it now?
I mean, a little bit, not too much, but you know me. I try to look forward as much as possible, but then when that moment comes, you can't help but become a little nostalgic.
See what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And then I want to end with this. This book is called Legacy and the Queen. He wrote it, at the beginning of it, he wrote, "To Nani, Gigi, Bibi, and Coco, my 4 beautiful, spirited, strong daughters. When you fiercely protect your passion, no one can ever steal your dreams."
So
and that's
true.
what I'll always remember about him.
So true, Jim.
Yeah.
Man, little baby, just 7 months old.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Jim. We know you have a lot more work to do, a lot of people that want to talk to you and give their condolences and tribute. So we're going to let you go do that. Thanks so much, Jim Hill. We want to turn now to Michelle Gili, who's in Newport Beach. And Michelle is going to be talking about one of the other victims today in this horrific crash, Orange County Community College baseball coach John Altobelli. And he was also there, I believe, with his wife and daughter, Michelle?
Pat, that's right. We are on the baseball field here at Orange Coast College, better known as OCC here in Orange County. And I do want to mention before we get to the coach, the fact that everyone on board this helicopter lived in Orange County. We're talking about 3 local mothers, 2 daughters on board. That is what we're hearing from all kinds of sources here in Orange County. Many of these people had connections to Newport Beach. And of course, Kobe Bryant and his family lived in Newport Coast. All of these people are connected to Kobe through Mamba basketball. There was also a dad on board, and that's the coach that you were just mentioning. His name is John Altobelli, known as Coach Alto. He's legendary here at Orange Coast College. I'm going to bring in his associate head coach in just a second, but I want to tell you about Coach Alto. He was about to begin his 28th year here. As a matter of fact, opening day is this coming Tuesday. And since about 12:30 today, hundreds of people have just spontaneously showed up here at the field. And we're calling this a field of dreams. And Nate Johnson here is going to explain to us why. And Coach Alto made it happen. But Coach was on board with his wife, Carrie, and his daughter, Alyssa, who plays basketball. And I'm going to explain more about that. Nate, you knew, they told you that they were going on this flight today.
Yeah, we had a scrimmage yesterday, and he was always talking about how he was going on the chopper with Kobe, so no different. Yesterday he was saying, hey, I'm going on the chopper with Kobe tomorrow morning. We're going to go up to Thousand Oaks and watch a few games. And so as soon as I heard Kobe's helicopter went down, I kind of had an idea that Alto was more than likely on board there.
Okay, so he took off, as far as you know, from John Wayne Airport, and they were landing in Camarillo?
Yeah, that's what he told me, and then they were going to drive down to Thousand Oaks from there.
Okay, and then fly back here, of course, after the tournament was over.
Yep, yeah.
So tell us about, first of all, this field. For years, Coach Alto dreamed of having a turf field, so we are calling this his Field of Dreams.
Yep. This is the house that Alto built. He did it all and fundraised for it all, and there was nothing else he wanted but turf. I've been here 7 years, and he was talking about turf for 7 years, and he finally got it done before the 2018 season. And I mean, it was his dream. All he wanted to be like all the gym coaches. Unlock the doors and you get to go out, and then as soon as practice is over, you just lock them back up. Don't have to drag, don't have to take care of anything, and he got that dream.
So this is the guy who led his team 4 times to the state championship, winning 4 different times. Last year, he was named National Coach of the Year, and as we said, he was beginning his 28th year here at Orange Coast College, and this is a unique position to be in because you're not hanging on to your players for dear life because you are shepherding them on to other things, to perhaps D1 baseball and other places. Right. Tell me about that relationship.
Yeah, that was his goal. That was what he loved doing here. He didn't want guys to come to OCC to play for OCC. He wanted guys to come here to make other programs, to make Cal State Fullerton's team and UCI and University of Michigan and Auburn and University of Texas, University of Washington. I mean, we've sent guys all over the place, and that's what he wanted. That's what brought him the most joy.
Opening day is Tuesday. You will likely take over the reins for your beloved friend. How are you guys going to get through this?
I don't know. Sports, it's a crazy thing. It kind of brings everyone closer together. And I brought everyone together today. Everyone gathered here. Our team gathered here. And I just talked to them. I said, hey, practice tomorrow. If you want to, we will. If you don't, we won't. You want to play on Tuesday, we will. If you don't, we won't. And they came up to me probably an hour later and said, we want to practice tomorrow and we want to play on Tuesday. And that's kind of how sports is. Everyone says, oh, that's the way they would have wanted. It's the way you would have wanted it.
Thank you. That's Nate Johnson. He's the associate head coach here at Orange Coast College. And one other thing that is especially poignant here today, Tony Altobelli, that is the brother of John, of Coach Alto, and he's the director of sports information here at this college. And we interviewed him earlier, and right now he is in his office writing the press release about his brother's death. That's the latest live here in Costa Mesa. Back to you guys.
Michelle, thank you. Certainly a day that has been turned upside down for so many people, Jeff. So much loss, so much tragedy, and just talking about what has happened today and looking back on the life, certainly, of some of the families and the other victims who have yet to be identified. Another personal note about Kobe, he was so generous in terms of just the charitable work that he did, or his willingness to help nonprofits. Yeah. I was co-chair of a nonprofit, and I believe we needed like basketballs or something signed, or jersey, and wasn't quite sure, like, oh, we're going to approach Kobe Bryant, or we're going to get Kobe Bryant to be involved. And he just generously and happily gave us some items to auction off. I think, whenever he heard about things that people were doing that would uplift other people in the community, to celebrate people that gave so much of themselves to help others, that we don't celebrate the people that you don't know about. He was there to lend a helping hand and to lift them up. And I just don't want that to get lost in how we're talking about him. And of course, we've mentioned it, and just the aura of who he was and what he meant to the game of basketball and to the city of LA for bringing championships. But God, he was so much more than that. And to watch him grow into that role, that's just amazing. It's just amazing. That makes it even so much more sad.
Well, for our viewers that may wonder, when is the next time the Lakers play? It's going to be on Tuesday. It'll be at the Staples Center against the Clippers. Wow. And that's a live look at the Staples Center. Of course, the Grammys going on inside, but outside, a different tribute is going on, not to music, but to Kobe Bryant. Leslie Marin is there with a look at the very latest from the Staples Center and Los Angeles Live, right across the street. Leslie?
Yeah, and I will tell you, there are some people that have been here for hours. They just want to bask in this experience. They tell me they didn't know where else to go. But of course, Kobe's second home, Staples Center. Take a look at just how many people are here. If you could take a look at those. Yeah, people have been chanting all day, Kobe MVP. It's just what they want to do. I do want to talk to a family, though, right here. This is Mauricio. Mauricio came with his two kids. What does Kobe mean to you?
Kobe meant so much to me. He's one of my idols. You know, I grew up as a kid watching him play basketball. Came to Staples Center, seen him play, came to the parades, seen him show us, like, I did it for LA, and that's why we're here today. Thank you, Kobe, and Vanessa, sorry, our condolences to all you guys.
You were telling me your best Kobe memory, and I hope that they can still hear us, but is when he actually pointed at you during a parade.
Yes, Kobe Bryant did actually point at us, me and my family, saying, holding the trophy, pointing to you and hitting his chest. That's what he did. That's what Kobe did. You know, all the time hit his chest. That was him. It's Black Mamba mentality.
And you can hear these people have so much love for Kobe Bryant. I do want to show you the marquees, though. Take a look. You can see the Ritz-Carlton behind us here. They have that large in loving memory of Kobe Bryant posted up there. They also have it right in front of LA Live. I would say there are hundreds of people here, different memorials spread out through LA Live right now. People just want to be here. This family, in fact, has been here for about 3 hours. They say they don't want to leave because they don't know where else they can mourn, and this is really helping them with the mourning process, really being with other Laker fans. And you can see people are just decked out in purple and gold. And I will tell you, it's really interesting because the Grammys are happening tonight, and either you're seeing people that are super dressed up going to the Grammys, or you're seeing people in their Laker gear, in their Kobe's jerseys. Everyone's just out here supporting, and honestly, there is so much love in this area. People have come down here for championship wins. They've came down here when Kobe retired, and a lot of people are hopeful, obviously, that the Lakers can continue with Kobe's legacy. For now, you guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you for that, Leslie.
Yeah, you know, it's been something to see what has happened at the crash site in Calabasas. We've had a number of reporters there throughout the morning, and the afternoon, and into the evening. And there's a memorial there as well at the crash site, just off of Las Virgenes, that has continued to grow. Las
Virgenes and Willow Creek Road, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff. And our Chris Holmstrom is there now, and it's got to be dark at this time, I would think. If not, it's close to it at 5:37. But I imagine still so many people there, Chris, as well as law enforcement, and of course the investigators are still trying to determine how this helicopter went down. Chris?
Yeah, that's right. Still a lot of questions out here as to what happened. And you're right, it is getting dark right now, but, you know, fans are still coming here. Fans have been out here all day because this is a heartbreaking story. And this is a man who made so many people so happy for so long. Well, let me talk to you a little bit about the investigation. Right now, you can actually if you zoom in, you could still see a little bit of the crash site. You could still see smoke hours later coming from where the helicopter is. And I believe there's still investigators out there working into the night trying to figure out what caused this helicopter of 9 people on board to crash. But if you zoom out a little bit, if you look all along the line of Las Virgenes, there are hundreds of fans out here who are paying their respect to Kobe Bryant, the GOAT for many people here in Southern California. And it's also amazing to see all the love from the Staples Center down to Orange County up here to Calabasas. And I want to bring into the camera Armando. He actually came from West Covina this morning. It took you about an hour and a half to come up here. Talk to me a little bit about, you know, your reaction when you heard about what happened this morning.
Man, I was very shocked. It felt so surreal. I felt like I've known this man my whole life. I've watched him growing up. And I mean, I know he wasn't playing anymore, but I still followed him on every social media. Any outing he had in the public, I would go. He was just such a big part of Los Angeles. It's crazy.
Such a big part, and I know you're representing him with his number 24 jersey. A lot of people out here wearing the black and gold, the purple and gold as well. Seeing all of the fans out here as well who have who came from so far away. What is it like to have that camaraderie with these other people?
I just feel like we all share the same love for the Lakers, for Kobe. I mean, Kobe became a part of our home. It was almost like every night we'd go home and just watch the Lakers when he was on. It was like something you couldn't miss. You never knew what you would get with him. It was either he was scoring 40 or winning 5 championships.
He was amazing for sure, truly talented, and we talk about, how great he was here in Southern California, but around the world. This is news. This is a tragedy that is affecting people from around the world.
Oh, definitely. I was actually telling my friends, it's crazy how this man, literally, you were able to hear across the world. I mean, Neymar had a game today in France, and he showed his respects to Kobe during a game after he scored a goal. I mean, this is worldwide. It isn't just Los Angeles. We're all hurting. It's a world of pain right now.
Where do you go from here?
Man, just going to wait for the news of the memorial, and now I just hope the Lakers could honor him with a championship this year. It's the only way to go now.
All right, well, hey, thank you so much for talking to me. So Armando, just one of thousands, probably millions of people out there who are mourning, who are truly heartbroken by this news that happened. You know, we hear about Kobe Bryant, who has passed away, but also you can't forget about his daughter or the other 8 people on board. But out here in Calabasas, you definitely feel it. Definitely a lot of heartbreaks out here. And, you know, crews, investigators, they're still out on that mountain into the night trying to figure what happened. Hours later, several hours later, still smoke coming from this crash site. I mean, Pat and Jeff, it definitely is heartbreaking to see all this, but, you know, the love and support, I hope that helps his family and his loved ones just kind of get through this process together, because, you know, definitely going to be a lot. But I'm not sure if you guys can see this, because Pat, you did mention it was dark, but you can maybe see some lights up there of investigators trying to, you know, do what they can. You know, the coroner is going to be called out here as well to, you know, positively identify, you know, these other 7 bodies.
You know, Chris, I wanted to ask you, since you're on the scene there, if there's been any word about the conditions at the time of this crash. We understand some of the law enforcement helicopters were grounded because of the foggy conditions. Has there been any word about if that may have been a contributing factor to this?
Yeah, you know, that's a big question out here as to whether or not that actually caused the crash. That's still unknown, but I actually spoke to a man who was walking his dog at 9:46 this morning, or 9:56 this morning, when he heard the helicopter fly over. All of a sudden, he heard a loud boom hit the mountainside. You know, he called the sheriff's department, let them know. I asked him what the conditions were like, and he says conditions were awful. There was heavy fog in this area. This was early in the morning, and he said it was overcast. And, you know, and you imagine you're flying in this area. I mean, it definitely makes it hard to see. But whether or not that's what caused this actual crash, I mean, it definitely is still too early to tell. But, you know, this guy, just talking to him, he was actually working with the LA County Fire as well. And they were the ones that were helping him, or he was actually helping them locate where the fire was because of the heavy fog, you know. So, and once he found out who it was, you know, definitely hard to hear for him, for sure.
Sure it was too, Chris. We understand, well, we know the coroner is out there, and will be, of course, until they have the bodies, the notification of the families before they transport the bodies. As you've been talking, Chris, we've been showing pictures from, you know, different points of reference around LA, the Ferris wheel at Santa Monica, the pylons at LAX lit up in purple and gold. But, you know, Jeff and I were just talking and reading some information, but the weather was so bad this morning that even law enforcement helicopters, some choppers,
they were grounded.
They were grounded. They weren't able to take to the skies.
We do know that originated from the Long Beach or the John Wayne Airport area in Orange County, was going out to Camarillo, as was reported by Michelle Gili, and then from Camarillo they were going to drive to the Mamba Sports Complex in Thousand Oaks. And so we had reports that they had to circle in order for the weather to clear at some point in time. So we don't know if that was a contributing factor. We don't know if that was the source of the crash, but it certainly was something to think about, because there was heavy fog at least at some points this morning.
Yeah. Chris, have you heard any more information? I'm sure you've heard a lot of, you know, reports, or I don't want to call it gossip, but just some, you know, trajectories where you are with people talking about what possibly could have happened and definitely what they saw.
You know, it's too hard to speculate out here, but a lot of the people who live in this area, it keeps going back to weather and, you know, just talking about how foggy and, you know, how bad the conditions were that they couldn't really see. I mean, like I mentioned, that guy that I was talking to, he was walking his dog. He heard the crash, but then he had no idea where, you know, that helicopter crashed into, because he couldn't see. The fog levels were so low. Even when we were driving over here earlier, you know, this afternoon, shortly afternoon, you know, the fog had lifted a little bit. It's clear now, but he's like, it was a completely different story, you know, 9, 10 o'clock this morning. But, you know, it's hard, you know, and, you know, sheriff's detectives aren't saying much right now, obviously, because it's still too early. NTSB still has to come out here and, you know, do that investigation as well. The FAA will be out here as well. As you can see, they're working into the night, so this is definitely, you know, one of those situations where they're trying to be very careful and piece it all together. As for when we can hear another update, that's still unknown. But the last update was around 2:45 this afternoon, and I'm sure once the Sheriff's Department gets more information, they'll give it to us. But right now, not a whole lot as they investigate out here. But definitely a lot of love and a lot of support from their fans, and I can imagine they'll be out here throughout the night because this man's a legend, and he meant a lot to them and brought a lot of happiness to a lot of households for many, many years, and you feel that out here.
Chris, live out at the crash site in Calabasas. Pat, I want to mention something while we take a look at the inset box there at the Staples Center, the Grammys going on inside. I can't tell you, they opened up the Grammys tonight with a tribute to Kobe, saying this is for Kobe tonight.
Well, no, it's just surreal, Jeff, because the Grammys are going on. They're on our sister station, CBS2, as we speak. But this is the crowd outside while the Grammys are going on inside Staples Center. And our Desmond Shaw is overhead in Sky 9 at this hour, giving us these pictures. Desmond, this is pretty incredible and pretty surreal.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat and Jeff. We are just outside of LA Live here, right next to Staples Center. You see thousands of mourners have poured into the plaza here over the last several hours. We've been monitoring this, and I zoom in here, and you can see all the candles that have been set up, these incredible makeshift memorials with jerseys. So almost everyone down here is wearing some sort of Lakers regalia right now, and you can see the tribute on the screen here. Let me just kind of iris down so you can see more clearly. Sorry about that. Kobe Bryant's image right here on the screen. So this is what everyone has been taking a look at. And I'll zoom out and show you as well the LA skyline. A lot of buildings here lit up in purple and yellow. These buildings down here, I believe this is called Ocean View Plaza, recently opened. Those are in yellow and purple. And then over here, the International Hotel is lit up as well. Really, really thoughtful tribute tonight. And the U.S. Bank building, we see them quite often. You do their LEDs in various colors, and they are in Lakers colors this evening as well. So a massive outpouring of emotion taking place all over the city, but especially here in the heart of Los Angeles, down here in downtown LA, LA Live, and the Staples Center. Pat and Jeff, back to you.
Okay, Desmond, thank you. Pat, we can kind of put this to rest. We were talking earlier about the fourth quarter of that last game of Kobe Bryant. They were playing Utah,
right,
and they won that game 101-96, and it was because of Kobe Bryant. He went 22 of 50 shots, fourth quarter rally, all because of Kobe. And I guess the players, his teammates, told him, we're not going to pass it to you. You take the ball, and this is your last game. And that's how he ended his career at the Staples Center.
Jeff, wasn't it 60 points?
Yeah, and it was
60 points.
And the Jazz were up until the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. Yeah. That last second rally put them over the top.
Jeff, everyone in that building was just mesmerized, including the Utah Jazz.
We're taking a look at the pictures there, and did you think that wasn't going to happen? I mean, I remember watching that because he retired in 2016, his last game, and I just was like, oh yeah, something's going to happen here. Something special is going to happen.
But
we're not going to lose this game.
Super special.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to take off like that, again, it was just an incredible sight to behold. I can remember the gasps and the cheers and the screaming, and again, I think the visiting team, the Jazz, and everybody in there was just, okay, let him work. Let him do his thing. Mm-hmm. And he certainly did. That will, you know what, though, Jeff, it's just unreal to talk about stats and things of this nature so early in his career. But this is how he's going to be remembered, by the stats and by the history that he left behind so young. And as we've been talking about, as Jim mentioned, as Bill Plaschke mentioned, he won't be alive to see himself being inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And more importantly, though, we have to go back to his family, his daughters. You've got 3 sisters who lost one of their sisters at very, very young ages. Maybe a couple of them who may not even remember her being there. But certainly the oldest will. And that's heartbreaking in itself.
It is.
It really is.
And our hearts and prayers go out to Vanessa, his wife, and what they are going through at this point in time, and the Laker Nation and globally. I mean, it's just one of those things where, I could tell a little story about, I have a neighbor of mine lives across the street, who's a Lakers fan, lifelong LA resident. And I texted him this morning when I got the news, and he was on the golf course. He had no idea at all. But just to kind of underscore how important Kobe Bryant, he never met Kobe Bryant. He's a big fan. And when I told him the news, he physically got ill. And that just goes to show about how much Kobe has affected people. To not even meet them, but to hear that news and to know that that has happened to one of your heroes. He told me that was somebody that I looked up to. It was a hero of mine. And to get that reaction out of somebody tells you so much about how Kobe was loved and meant by this community.
I was landing, and when I heard as my plane landed, I called my daughter because I knew that this would affect her, and she was crying uncontrollably. She was 9 years old when Kobe Bryant came on the scene, and she played basketball, and boy, he was her hero. On one of her social media pages, when she was on it, her profile picture was of all the trophies that he won and him. And that's just how much he meant to her. And you're talking about your friend. These are people all over that I'm still going to call him a young man, that lives that were affected. And just think about this. His oldest daughter is 17. Kobe came to the Lakers when he was just 17. He just graduated at the age of 17. That's just, to wrap your head around all of that is just, it's mind-boggling. We have so many things that will be happening in the days, the weeks ahead. First, to find out what the investigation is going to uncover. The other poor family members who do not yet know the identities of their victims. 3 more that we're unaware of, we don't know, at least right now. I'm hoping that the families will know. But then, Jeff, as you just mentioned, the Lakers going to play Tuesday night.
And they play the Clippers. And we talked to Doc Rivers, who was emotionally upset over the information. He said, a great opponent, Kobe, that's what you want in sports. He had that tearful account of his time spent as a competitor. And they're going to be playing on Tuesday. That's the next Lakers game, is at the Staples Center, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Just can't imagine. And even the team members, his former team members and the Clippers, because you have to think that they all knew each other, and most of them probably did rub shoulders with Kobe, if not play with him. There will be services. We don't know yet plans for that, but there will be a memorial, I'm sure, of some kind. If the public is involved, we'll certainly let you know about that. But then there are other families, the coaches, their families will be planning services for their loved ones as well. And for young people. It's always so very, very, very sad.
So not only is it the Lakers' next game on Tuesday, but the Orange Coast baseball team and Coach Alto, which they just lost in this crash, they have their opening day on Tuesday. And we talked about who they called Coach Alto so emotionally, and that was their embrace of him and the team. And John Altobelli is going to be will not be the head coach for opening day for the first time in a number of years, and they're still going to go ahead with the opening game because that's what the players want.
Because they have to. That's what the players want, because they know that that's what the coach would want. I was just thinking earlier tonight too, Jeff, we have heard from some coaches, and there are so many that have yet, I believe, to weigh in, or at least that we have heard about. Not all of them are on social media, but when you think about those, Phil Jackson, one that comes to mind, wasn't Mike Brown coach for a moment?
Yes.
When Kobe Bryant played? D'Antoni?
There's a lot of people. I mean, we haven't heard. Don't you think it still hasn't set in? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that this is so fresh and hurtful and new that I don't know if they're going to be. Some might not be able to say anything.
Voice, to speak
today.
Exactly. So again, we're going to be talking about this for years to come, for sure. But just in the coming hours and days and weeks ahead, it is certainly, it's just devastating, and it's turned this city upside down for sure. You're still looking at a live picture outside LA Live where hundreds, if not thousands, of fans have shown up to mourn Kobe Bryant.
And where that destination was for Kobe Bryant and his daughter was in Thousand Oaks at the Mamba Sports Academy, and that's where Jake Reiner is standing by now. Jake, what can you tell us?
I interviewed someone earlier, guys, that was talking about how this Kobe Bryant, this news about Kobe Bryant was like losing a family member, and that kind of resonated with me because that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting being out here at the Mamba Sports Academy. I'll step out of the way so you can take a look. We've had a steady stream of people, obviously not as large as the Staples Center crowd, but people coming by all afternoon, and obviously the sun has gone down now, but the memorial outside the front doors here has grown. Flowers and candles, and people have signed pictures of Kobe Bryant. People have left letters for him. This was his way of giving back to the community, this Mamba Sports Academy, and way of giving back to youth basketball. And earlier we spoke with a young boy who benefited greatly from the Mamba Sports Academy. He was out here last summer for a sports camp, and he actually got to learn a little bit from Kobe Bryant. We spoke to him earlier. Take a listen.
I was starstruck, and it was amazing. It felt like I was in heaven, having fun, learning stuff. I learned that how to get after a defender and like get off of him and stuff.
How are you feeling today, buddy?
Sad.
Yeah.
Depressed.
What did Kobe mean to you as a Lakers fan, a basketball fan?
He meant to me as my dad.
Yeah. That boy referred to him as like a father figure to him, which is a remarkable thing for him to say about this man, Kobe Bryant. And we heard from another father who has a daughter here at the Mamba Sports Academy who told us that Kobe was actually supposed to be here today to coach his daughter, Gigi, in a basketball tournament. And this was the end of a two-day basketball tournament as a part of this Mamba Cup series that he started, the championships being in March. And so he was supposed to be here at 2 o'clock to coach that game. This is such a tremendous loss for all of these Lakers fans here. And for someone like myself, growing up a Lakers fan, it's a tremendous loss. For me, it almost doesn't seem real. I keep thinking about it. It just doesn't seem real. The way he went out, his final game, we've been talking about it all day long, where he dropped 60 points on the Utah Jazz, sort of, willing that Lakers team back to victory. And that team wasn't a great team, but he went out with a bang. It sort of reminded me of how Derek Jeter played in his final home game at Yankee Stadium, where he had a walk-off single. This was sort of Kobe's walk-off hit, was that amazing 60-point showing. And that's just the kind of player he was, and not a lot of players can have that kind of final game like the way he did. So just remarkable to listen to all these stories out here today. Reporting live in Thousand Oaks, I'm Jake Reiner, KCAL 9 News.
All right, thank you, Jake. And yeah, Jeff, fourth quarter, he scored what? He scored 50
points in the fourth quarter. He scored alone. 60 overall, yes. But he had 22 of 50. He scored in the last quarter to win that game.
Don't know if we'll see that again. We invite you to stay with us. Our coverage of the death of Kobe Bryant will continue after this short break.
Welcome back. As you know, all day long we have been following breaking news. Lakers legend Kobe Bryant killed in a tragic helicopter crash in Calabasas.
And all 9 people killed, including Kobe's 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. The stunning news leaves fans and the world in complete shock. Here now is the very latest at 6 o'clock for you. 9 people were on board the Sikorsky S-76 when something went wrong just before 10 this morning. We're told they were on their way to a travel basketball game when the chopper went down.
So here's the flight pattern of that helicopter moments before it crashed and caught fire. You can see it in this animation here. We obtained this from FlightAware, a popular site that tracks aircraft all over the country. So you can see it going from Orange County to the San Fernando Valley when it started spinning uncontrollably. At least that is what the map reflects. Of course, this is going to be part of a larger NTSB investigation on exactly how the aircraft went down.
Well, in addition to Bryant and his daughter, 3 members of one family also died in the crash. They are John Altobelli, who was head baseball coach at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. His wife, Carrie, and their daughter, Alyssa, were also on board.
The husband of Christina Mauser posted on Facebook that she died in this helicopter crash. Mauser was a basketball coach at Harbor Day School in Newport Beach. That is where Kobe's daughter attended school. Mauser's husband says he and his kids are understandably devastated.
I'm Juan Fernandez, along here with Sarah Donchi, taking over now for Pat Harvey and Jeff Vaughn. They've been following this breaking news story all day long here on KCAL 9, CBS 2, and CBSN Los Angeles. Of course, Laker great Kobe Bryant and his daughter, along with those others we just mentioned, dying in a helicopter crash this morning.
We're looking at live pictures now. This is LA Live, just next to the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles. You are looking at a live picture of thousands of people now gathering. They've created a kind of memorial here to remember Kobe. There are a lot of jumbotrons in this area that normally project ads and videos depending on what kind of event is going on. As you know, the Grammys is happening just steps away from where this is. Now those electronic billboards are displaying images of Kobe Bryant to honor his life and his legacy. And Juan, this image strikes me because, you know, I've seen things like this after the Lakers championships when people pour out onto the street. They're outside Staples Center. They're celebrating lots of Kobe Bryant jerseys. And I remember those days. And it's just really almost a surreal experience to see this. I think for a lot of people, when they heard this news, they thought this couldn't possibly be real.
Including us in the news business, right? We received the news that Kobe Bryant had died in this crash. And still, at this moment, we are, of course, in calling what we call news mode, but still very difficult for us to believe. All right, I want to go to our Leslie Marin. She is live there in downtown Los Angeles, where fans have been gathering since the news first broke. Leslie?
Yeah, I can tell you we push back a little bit from where that crowd is gathered. But you can take a look. If we can pan over, you see the streets are blocked off. That's because of the Grammys. But if you keep going a little bit further, you see the crowds of people. I will tell you, those people are not here for the Grammys. They are here for Kobe Bryant. There are just hundreds of people in the area of LA Live right now. Also marquees glowing right around LA Live, all in loving memory of Kobe Bryant. If we can get to some video from Chopper earlier today, when you can actually see just hundreds of people gathered at LA Live. I will tell you, fans started coming out to this area about 30 minutes after they learned of the devastating news, the passing of Kobe Bryant. I do want to bring in a live interview right now. We've been catching up with fans all day. This is Makai. He's 19 from Inglewood. And you told me you've been a Kobe Bryant fan all your life. You grew up watching him, and he's inspired you in your own sport.
Yes. Honestly, Kobe has really made the impact that honestly no one can understand. You know, everybody's different, but the impact he's had on me has been greatly appreciated, and the fact that he just passed this morning with his daughter, you know, Gigi, rest in peace, mamas. It was very unfathomable. You know, I couldn't digest it. You know, I called my mom. She was crying on the phone, and I was crying, and then I didn't know what to do. I still don't believe it, but, you know, everything with the news, it still proves it, and, you know, rest in peace, and I love him.
A lot of fans still in such disbelief. When you went down, you were surrounded by all the other fans that came down to just be at Staples Center. What was it for you and your mother that you guys just said we need to be at this location?
It was just the fact that, his energy was left here. His energy has landed on California, on LA. He's had an impact not only on LA but internationally. And it's just hard to say goodbye to someone who's that big. And I wouldn't want to say goodbye to someone who's big like that. And if anything, he made me think he was going to be immortal and he wasn't going to, go anywhere. He's going to be here forever. But he still is. He ain't gone. He's always going to, his name is going to reign through LA.
Yeah, I think, and you can feel that here tonight. I will tell you, like Makai was saying, a lot of fans may be in disbelief, but they're keeping his spirit alive. There was a lot of love in the area of LA Live, so it's been nice to see and talk to fans that really appreciated what Kobe brought to our city. For now, I'll toss it back to you guys in studio.
All right, Leslie, thank you so much for that live report from downtown Los Angeles. Just amazing to see all of the people that have gathered there, all of the people like that man who have just personal connections. They feel like this was the death of a member of their family. We've heard that over and over again, Juan, and I completely understand it, having grown up in Southern California in Los Angeles County. This was someone who was in our homes and in our lives, somebody we looked to and somebody we feel like we knew.
When the team won, we felt like we won. When the team lost, we were just as sad. And Sarah and I were talking about this in the newsroom, too. For a lot of fathers and sons and fathers and daughters, watching Kobe play was part of their connection as well.
Absolutely. That was so true with my dad. We were a basketball home. Kobe Bryant was a player that got us excited about the game. Our Jim Hill is here. I know you understand that sentiment. And so many people, celebrities, followed this man and followed his career.
And when you talk about celebrities, Kobe was bigger than the biggest celebrities. When you think about it, there were and there are celebrities who were in awe of Kobe Bryant. And when I think about the celebrities that are in awe of Kobe Bryant, I think of one person that comes to mind first of all. He was always at the Lakers games when the Lakers were at home. He was always sitting on the visitors' end of the bench. We all know him. We have admired him for a long time. He's a fabulous actor. He doesn't like to talk a lot about a lot of things on camera or even on the phone. But just a little while ago, I had a chance to talk about Kobe's death to Jack Nicholson.
Well, Jim, my reaction is the same as almost all of L.A. You just suddenly, where everything was solid, there's a big hole in the wall, I was so used to seeing and talking to Kobe that, it kills you. It's just a terrible event.
What will you remember the most about Kobe?
Well, I remember him as in totality and just how great a player he was. But, I teased him the first time we met. It was in the Garden in New York. And I offered him a basketball and asked him, did he want me to autograph it for him? He looked at me like I was crazy.
One of the things we found out about him is that he had a great sense of humor as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, he got all the jokes, that's for sure.
And we all will miss him and love him, and you had a ringside seat. You got to see the best of the best for a lot of years.
I sat right behind his jump shot on the left-hand side. I could see him going up, and I could tell the first instant if it was in.
What would you like to tell people, or how would you like to tell people how they should remember Kobe Bryant?
Well, Jim, I'm not a guy who tells people what to do, but I can tell you that I'll remember him. For instance, when I first talked to him, after that first meeting, he called me on the phone and said, Jack, I know you're not going to want to do this, but they made me ask you if I'd be in. He was doing a documentary or something, and, that just speaks to, Kobe's sensitivity. He knows it wasn't this particularly, but just in general, I don't do television interviews.
We all, like you, love him, man.
Yeah, we'll think of him all the time, and we'll we miss him, you know. I mean, he just was one of those touched people.
And I want to thank Jack for taking the time, because I know he doesn't like to do a lot of interviews and things like that. So thanks, Jack. And the other thing I'd like to add is that we were told that the Dallas Mavericks have decided that they're going to retire the number 24 in honor of Kobe Bryant. And so I can imagine that we will see a lot of teams throughout the course of the rest of the season who will be remembering Kobe in that particular way by retiring that number.
I think some of the saddest tributes and the saddest moments that we've seen play out today have been from players and from coaches and former players, and maybe people who didn't even play with Kobe, but people who looked up to Kobe as just this tremendous athlete, younger players who Kobe was their hero. And it was just so sad to see them so emotional on the court. And I know you saw the same, and you've been talking to, you know, so many people in the sports world about this, and it's just really, really shocking.
It sure is.
We'll just keep the faith, because I know that's what he would want us to do.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for your insight.
All right, we're going to be right back after this short break with more continuing coverage. As you see there, the Santa Monica Pier now in purple and gold in memory of Kobe Bryant.
Welcome back to our continuous breaking news coverage of the sudden passing of Kobe Bryant and several other individuals who were on a helicopter when it crashed into the hills in Calabasas today.
That's right. They were heading to a game, actually, when this all happened. And now the NTSB is also, of course, investigating, trying to figure out what was the source and cause of that crash. We know we've had very foggy conditions early morning along the coast. So whether or not weather was a factor, that's something that's going to be looked at as well. But again, one of the Laker greats, only 41 years old, the father of four.